Did you miss us? Welcome to day 2 of Fixed Ops Week, brought to you by the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Here to give us the service report on everything fixed operations is our host, Vanessa Collins.
Good morning and welcome to day 2 of Fixed Ops Week. If yesterday got you thinking, today is about getting you moving. I'm Vanessa Collins from Lithia and Driveway, and today we're going to test a few assumptions. You're going to hear from leaders who are in it every day, testing, refining, and winning in real time. So lean in, take notes, and don't just listen. Think about what you're going to do differently when this day is over. Let's get to work. Don't just watch the show, be part of it. Jump into the chat on the right-hand side of your screen and make some noise with us. Make sure you've got everyone selected and not just hosts and panelists. Let's keep the energy high all week long. Go, go, go. Curtis Gardner brings the kind of insight that challenges the status quo and sharpens how leaders think. So get ready, because this keynote isn't just talk, it's a wake-up call.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. What a great way to start our day with Curtis Gardner, technician extraordinaire, tearing it up all over social media. Curtis, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Man, thank you so much for having me, Ted. It's a pleasure to be here, a pleasure to kick this thing off and start such a fantastic opportunity that you provide for so many people to speak up for, the things they believe in and give us the opportunity to, make the industry a little bit better.
Curtis, you are a breath of fresh air, okay, because you have come in like a hurricane, okay, into the industry. I didn't know about you until, maybe a year and a half, maybe a little longer ago. But watching what you do and the consistency, Curtis, of what you do is so important. It's important in all of life. But I want to talk to you today about text, video, of course, MPIs, and what you do on social media, because I'm noticing more and more shops, Curtis, not just text, but the shops are on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, they're on TikTok, they're on all the platforms. So first of all, how do you have the time to do it? How do you manage to hold down this big technician job and do all these other things on top of that with social?
Yeah, there's definitely some sacrifices. There's also some priorities. I've made over the last year and a half made content creation and social media a priority, and some other areas, whether it's at work or some of the other things, I have to make a few sacrifices. But the biggest thing is, I think right now it's just raw, natural content. Having the ability to just film yourself, what you're doing. There's not a need for a ton of editing, and more people are enjoying that. More people are listening. It's almost like you're on a FaceTime call. It's you're having a conversation with your phone, and you put it on social media, and it's people are just eating it up and they're really enjoying that kind of stuff.
So I got to ask you: one, was it hard to get started? B, did you have a built-in audience in the beginning, or did you start off with, little to none, and then grow it little by little?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part is getting started. Everyone wants, the system and the process to be perfect. They're like, well, I want to make sure it looks like this and I want to sound like this. And I mean, your first 100 videos aren't going to be perfect. And the next 100, they'll never be perfect, but you're going to always improve. Every video, every time you speak, you're going to listen to yourself, watch yourself, and you're going to constantly improve. And the audience is your closest, your friends, your family. And as you grow, you start to get more, you build a larger community, and you start, there's a huge need to interact with people. And you can't just post content, because you just post content, it's gonna be like, well, it's just another Joe Schmo on the internet. It's, connecting with the people in your audience or your community, and conversing with them, and in the comments or in the messages. And that takes, honestly, that takes more time than creating the content. But I've gotten to meet so many wonderful people, whether I'm traveling and meeting them, or meeting them through a message. It just start the first video, continue. Consistency is going to beat out talent any day of the week. Just stay consistent.
Do you watch and have you watched your own videos? And has this helped you with doing your day job, the multi-point tech videos for the customer?
Believe it or not, the video inspections actually kind of inspired me and helped me feel more comfortable doing social media. So I did the video inspections, leaned into that for about a year, and then I was like, wow, my message. I kind of looked inside and realized my message can go much further than what I'm doing here. And so then I started putting myself in front of the camera, and sent a few videos. And I look back at those videos now, and feel like I was talking like a robot. I was like, wow, I was so nervous, or, I was not looking at the camera, or I was, talking really slow. And there's so many things you can constantly improve on. And then I think it's important to invest in yourself. And the reason I mean that is, communication courses help you not just in social media or video inspections, but in life. Is you watch the video, you listen to the video, you hear the video, whether that's social media or the multi-point inspection, and it gives you the opportunity to improve if you want to.
So, was there a mentor you had that inspired you, or did you do all this on your own, or how did you get started?
I don't know if I had a specific mentor for social media. I kind of found people along the way,
Okay.
but I think each person in each niche is specific. Because if we all posted the same thing, then we wouldn't have our individual communities and audiences. I think it's important to, find a style of content you like, and maybe look up to a few people, and, try some of the things they're trying, and see what works for you. Because, I mean, I just started posting a new style of content about 3 weeks ago. And so I've been integrating that into what I'm doing now, and then I've gained 40,000 followers in less than a month on Instagram. And my TikTok has tripled. My Facebook has quadrupled, and it was just keep trying new stuff, keep having fun, keep being yourself. And you mentioned dealerships starting to do social media,
Yes.
and I think that's a huge opportunity for customers and fellow technicians, and just your ordinary person on Instagram or TikTok or social media, to look into the shop and say, "Wow, this is what a dealership is kind of like." Like, they're not, they're kind of fun. They're doing fun stuff, and then they're having a good time.
Where did you start? What platform, or did you start on all of them at the same time?
I started on Instagram first, and then I quickly realized that I needed to be on all of them. So I don't have the same success on all of them. Instagram
Right.
is my largest platform, but I'm on TikTok, Facebook, I'm on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Threads. I don't think I'm not on Twitter, but as many as you can be on, I mean, it's hard. I wouldn't lie about it. It's hard to keep up with all that. It's hard to post, consistently. It's hard to keep up with people. It's hard to keep up with comments and messages. But if it's something that someone he believes in, and you believe that that's what you want to do, whether you're the dealership or an individual, you just got to keep with it because it will pay off if you stick with it.
So for techs watching, I know in the past you did not post in the shop where you worked. I saw you do videos from home, elsewhere. Talk to us about that. And now I do see that you do some content in the shop. Why?
Yeah, it's important as an individual to make sure that where you're posting is acceptable with the place that you work.
Okay.
That was just making sure that you're checking with your immediate manager or whoever's in charge and making sure that's okay with them. What are the stipulations? Obviously we don't want to share any customer information or license plates, VIN numbers, things like that. But yeah, there. At first I had to go through some speed bumps, if you will, and I had to post in my car, in my garage, and really make do with what I had. But I knew that content creation was important to me, and so I kept with it and stuck with it, and it was rough. And now I've, over the last few months, had the opportunity to film back in the shop with some guidelines, and yeah, it's been fantastic. I really started enjoying, the ability to film in the content, even if some of the other things aren't necessarily going my way. I've learned to learn to love like what I'm doing even more now that I'm able to do it where I work.
Let's go back to the MPI videos that you do with your customers. How long does it take? I know you and I have covered some of this ground before, but talk to us a little bit about that. Vehicles coming in the shop that you do in the course of your daily business. You got a technique. I've seen you do it.
Yeah, I weirdly enjoy it, like doing video inspections. It's the only opportunity, well, not the only, but the main opportunity that a technician has to connect and communicate with the customer, and even sometimes the advisor in a way that I can walk up to an advisor and have a conversation, but that advisor, if they listen to my video, they understand my level of skill, my level of knowledge, what I'm trying to interpret to the customer. And so that video inspection is my opportunity to connect with, someone in the dealership as well as someone coming into the dealership. And I just like, you get your haircut probably by the same person or maybe the same place.
Sure.
And so it's always been extremely important to say, I want to be that person that the customer comes back to when they come to the dealership. Say, hey, Curtis worked on my car great. He did my video inspection great. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Like, I want him working on my car again. And that was kind of what I realized doing my video inspections. And it's, it's a blessing to be able to share some of the things I've been doing with my video inspections and share my techniques with other technicians. And I've had so many positive messages on Instagram and stuff about, hey, I started doing my videos like yours, and I'm making more money. I'm having people come back and ask for me, and it just makes me feel good because like what I'm saying works, and it's nice to hear.
Is it mostly you tell me younger technicians that embrace this quicker because maybe they've had exposure to doing videos from a young age?
Yeah, I will say it is mostly younger technicians, but I will also say that there's a lot of older technicians that have been maybe afraid to speak up or afraid to say something positively. The culture in the shop sometimes can be a little negative, and some of the more positive technicians are afraid to speak up and they are afraid to talk about the good things like video inspection. So I've had a lot of older technicians that are like, wow, this has worked for me. And they just don't speak about it because they don't kind of want to be a target in the shop. And so it's, I think, helped out a surprising amount of experienced technicians as well.
What about advisors? How do they, what are they, what's their take? What do they say?
I have a funny story. Not too long ago, a advisor who isn't on my team, but he was riding for us on a Saturday. And so I did a video inspection just like I normally would. And I sent my quotes in just like I normally would. And he came back in the shop and he was jumping for joy. He was so ecstatic. He was like, man, I wish more people did video inspections like you. And it was not to bring down other technicians, but what it was to say is the time and the effort I've invested into the way I introduce myself, the way I speak through the video inspection the same way every time, the way that I, end the video inspections. I put a lot of time and effort into that. And he was able to experience that firsthand. And it helped him do his job even easier. And it was able to supply a lot of information to the customer. And he was like, wow, like, we need to do more of this. You're doing a fantastic job. Great job. Keep it up. And it was just, it was one of those things that it made me smile, put a big smile on my face. And I just felt super proud of the work I've put in.
Do the advisors watch your videos before they go out to the customer? And I realize that may change, depending on shop.
Yeah, I always encourage the advisors to watch them, at least the majority of it, maybe at least the customer concern, because that's going to be the reason that customer is in there. But I don't know. I don't know if they all watch it, but I have gotten feedback from the advisors that do. They're like, dude, this video inspection is great. Like, keep it up. And so that I always want feedback, even negative feedback. If someone's, so I'm saying something weird or maybe they don't like something and I hear it enough times, like, well, maybe I should adjust the way that I say that because it might sound good to me, but it might come off
Okay.
confrontational or not the right way to a customer or an advisor.
Do you get any negative feedback? Does that actually happen? Yeah.
Not really. Maybe when I was first starting, I would get maybe some things about the way I was wording things that could potentially put us in a tough situation. Like if it's around warranty, it's making sure you're using the right warranty language or using language that doesn't necessarily put anyone in a bad position, whether that's a customer or someone at the dealership. You just want to make sure you're speaking in a way that's neutral.
All right. So, all your social media posts, they seem to be different. You mentioned you started something new a few weeks back. Do you mind maybe sharing a couple things that you're doing that's new and that's obviously working for you? These are big numbers.
Yeah, so I started out doing very like educational content, like how to be a more efficient technician, how to do better in video inspections. And my audience and community is slowly growing, but social media is a big entertainment platform. There's a lot of people that are in there to learn, have fun or learn things or, enjoy themselves, have a good laugh. So I was been trying to kind of come up with an idea of something that's like entertaining. And so I started doing almost like tool reactions. So funny tool reactions where it's somebody using a tool and maybe a different kind of way to test a new system or to use it in a unique way. And so what I would show the clip of that being done, and then I would try it myself, showing that it works, and then try to explain briefly whether it works, it doesn't work, how you could, that type of thing. Like I had one that did really well where I was testing a wrench against an alternator, and it's because it produces a magnetic field. Now that's fun. It looks a little dangerous, but it's fun. Ultimately, it's not the right way it should be done, but it's kind of cool to see like, wow, the alternator is creating a magnetic field, but you should still check it with a voltmeter. So it's kind of like a dual type of piece of content.
So how's all, in your opinion, and you've been a technician for a while now, how's all this going to evolve? Where's this going? Where's it headed? I mean, I could never have pictured this a couple, 3, 5 years ago, but where's this going in the future? What's next?
Yeah, social media is going to power the world. It's going to be the way that technicians represent themselves.
Yeah.
It's given me a lot of opportunities just to have conversations, even based off of what I've been posting on multiple platforms, especially LinkedIn. It's like, wow, you're very outspoken. I mean, there's people that come to me and don't even know I'm a technician because of the things I'm talking about, and the way that I'm trying to help the industry grow a little bit. It's social media is the only way that I can express myself outside of my current dealership. I'm sure I can send my resume to a bunch of dealerships, but these people that are watching or the community that I'm building, the audience, they're able to see me if I'm having going through a rough patch, if I'm doing good. They're able to learn and grow with me and say, hey, this person is a normal. He's just like us. He's having a hard time. He's having a great time. And so it really lets people learn more about me. And, I think the biggest thing is that most brands, you can't transfer certifications between technicians without having to take a bunch of new tests and stuff. And I think this is providing us with an opportunity to learn what that technician is about, what their work ethic is like, what their diagnosis skills are like, and then maybe being able to bridge that gap a little bit more because you've seen proof of it on social media.
Yeah, it is social proof, and it's so important. And I see it growing and growing and growing. Back on the tech multi-point videos, where is this going? Because you and I talked in the green room before we got started. You see things now that there's more and more techs doing it. There's millions of video files, many millions every month. There's all kinds of things, like they're now keeping score on how techs do, and there's different platforms doing different things, different dealer groups doing different things. They're Tully is measuring it in a different way than, let's say, the dealership down the street is measuring it. Where do I view this as a really great thing for the industry. What are you seeing? Where does this go? Where's this headed now?
I think the most important thing is to make sure that we understand what it looks like and feels like to the customer.
Okay.
Because they're the one that's ultimately receiving this video, and they're the ones whose customer or cars we're servicing. And I think it's easy to get lost in a lot of technology sometimes. I think it's easy to get lost in AI and how it's incorporated into our daily lives. And video inspections have come in. They're coming in fast. They're evolving every day, and I see new things out about. I mean, the scoring thing, whether there's the headsets. I think there's real opportunity for good stuff, but I would caution against some of it. It's like we don't want to lose touch with that personal side of things. You don't want to have all the text sounding the same. You don't want to have all the text sounding like robots listing out this checklist of things they need to get a right score on. Because, I mean, I'll reference back to the barbershop. You don't go to the barbershop and not talk to the person, right? You have the same conversation, especially if you go back to the same person. You're not talking about where do you work? Do you have kids? Who's your family? And it's like, I'm afraid that we might get to that point where all the videos sound too similar and all the technicians sound just alike, and we're not having any personal connection in those videos. So they're great. They're growing fast. So just let's make sure we're keeping the tech, and the customers, receiving that video the right way.
Many shops are, well, you tell me, are they requiring it? Is it suggested? Is it, I know a number of dealerships on the Roundtable that absolutely insist that every vehicle now, gets a video inspection.
Yeah, I think it's good to build consistency with the video inspections. You want customers to get a video inspection not just when they need something, but all the time. Whether they're like, hey, your car's in for a 5,000 mile tire rotation or oil change. Like, hey, just want to let you know the tires are in great shape. We topped off your fluids. Everything's looking good. We'll see you at your next service, kind of thing. You don't want a customer to get a video like, oh man, what do I need to buy now? Now I will say for dealerships just starting them, I think there's a trial and error period. You need to communicate with the technicians on what works and what doesn't work, because every shop, every environment is different. It's usually suggested at first, and it slowly works into a required thing once they start to realize the value it brings to the customer experience.
It does. Finally, tell us about your company, Technar. What are you doing, and where's that headed?
Yes, the Technar Training and Development specifically focuses on technician infrastructure, technician training and coaching, mentorship. It's really just a platform that I've built off the things I've done over the last 16 years in my career. And that goes from video inspections. It goes from training teams inside of dealerships, whether that's, how you grow a technician from like the lube team all the way up into master technician, making sure they're challenging themselves, being certified. It's, something as silly as counting your steps in between, your daily processes. If you can save a few seconds here, a few seconds there, a minute, it adds up over a year. And so it's really about just honing the technician position within a dealership.
Lastly, today, for the audience watching, whether it be a tech, whether it be a dealer, fixed ops director, maybe somebody at an OEM, Can people reach out to you? And if so, what's the best way to get a hold of Curtis Gardner? Because you got a lot going on and you understand where the industry is headed.
Yeah, my social media name, I have changed it to Curtis A. Gardner all the way across. So every LinkedIn, every Instagram, every platform is Curtis A. Gardner. I am that brand that I'm trying to build. The Technar thing has kind of formed into, the company that I'm trying to build. My email is probably the best way to contact me if it's not a direct message, and that's curtis@nard.com, which is kind of spelt kind of funny. So it's going to be GNARRED. And that's me. Find me, ask me questions. I'm willing to help out. Anything I can do to, help with my fellow technicians, grow 1% better every day.
I'm excited for you and seeing where this is going and watching you continue to grow in the industry, and excited for this week, all that's going to happen with Fixed Ops at Fixed Ops Week. So thank you for being a big part of it, Curtis. And we owe you a whole lot here, and a big debt of gratitude.
Well, thank you, Ted. Thank you for doing what you do for all of us.
Everybody. Curtis Gardner here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
98% of customer experience is how well or how poorly you communicate. Well, how come my software partners spend 98% of their development on workflows? What if they spent 100% of their time on workflows and we spent 100% of our time on communication? Then we'd be able to truly create transformative experiences for customers, and that's what True Video does.
MyKarma's Tech Video Grader is a major enhancement to Service Cart Video MPI. It looks at every tech video, helping management and techs improve video inspections with objective feedback. Each video is reviewed by our AI engine, evaluating audio and visual cues that measure its content against the customized inspection checklist each technician is required to follow. Detailed reporting offers deep insights on video inspections, including month-to-month quality trends about the dealership or dealer group, easy identification of high-performing techs, and the ability to take a deep dive into their overall performance. Tech Video Grader makes sure that what's sent to the customer has maximum impact, leading to more recommendations, improved CSI, and the highest brand standards. MyKarma's Tech Video Grader, another innovation built on collaborative workflow AI.
Parts isn't support, it's profit. Tom Wood Automotive Group shows how it's done. Real strategy, real execution, real results. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings and Isabella Stevens. Today we have an exciting panel for our audience. We have the Tom Wood Automotive Group Parts panel, and Ted, the leaders of fixed operations, are here with us today.
Sarah, you're so right. We're learning a lot about the Tom Wood Automotive Group, one of the great dealer groups in our country. Bill Demaree is with us, a friend of the fixed ops community, certainly great colleague. Bill, welcome back, and tell us who we have here today.
Hey, thanks for having us. We're excited to talk all things parts today. So I have to my left, Kevin Dumire is my group parts director, and he spends time focusing on exactly what we're talking about, all things parts and profitability and all that fun stuff. And to his left is Matt Cooper. Matt is one of our superstars running a very large Jaguar, Land Rover, and Volvo store. So he manages a significant amount of inventory and does it extremely well. So I brought the best for you today, Ted, and let's ask some great questions of him.
All right. So with that, I'll turn it over to Isabella Stevens. Isabella is a student at Northwood University in Midland, Michigan. Isabella, the show is yours.
Yes, thank you, Ted. There's a lot of changes in the automotive industry, and I know there's been a big increase with parts and the service side of the dealership. Now, Kevin, my question is, how do you think dealerships should be thinking about parts today, not just as a support, but as the true profit center of the business?
Well, how much time do we have today? We could go into a lot of different angles here. So it's, as Matt knows, he lives it every single day, but the big thing that has changed over the last 10 to 15 years is that while 70% of our profit truly is from the service department in most dealerships, there's still that 30%, maybe 40%, maybe it's only 10%, but that 10% can amount to a lot, whether we're talking about automation, saving the value of a minute, robotic delivery is what I'm speaking of directly. We could talk about e-commerce. We could talk about leading the future. As far as training up, the people that we may only have as a shipping and receiving person, but raising them up and giving them opportunities for the future. Sometimes the secret to your success could be somebody that's working for you. You just need to ask the question or have the open door. So really, it's as far as looking at that and looking at the metrics as far as the statement and whatnot. After controllable expense, teaching these guys exactly what all these numbers mean. A lot of times the next dollar can be made just by looking at what you already have and doing a better job with what you already have. So Mike's a good testament to that. He's done the unthinkable or the unbelievable, the impossible by some people's standards. And sometimes that's just managing your inventory well. And he's done a fantastic job of that. And I'm sure we'll get to that at some point.
Yeah. Matt, I would love to hear your perspective on that.
As far as profit center, I would say the most important part is your customers. You have to start off with the customers every time. If your customer's happy and they are being supported by you, they're going to come back to you every time because they can count on you to do the right thing for them every time. And that's what we do here. Is customers are number one priority. And then of course we have our service department. They're our best customer, so we always have to make sure that we're looking out for them first and foremost and giving them exactly what they need.
Yeah, just really elevating the dealership. I love it. Bill, do you have anything to add?
I think Kevin and Matt both mentioned most of them, and parts department a lot of times is the afterthought, of the store. I always say the back end guys, is service. Oh yeah, then there's parts. So it's. But if you look at the industry, how much it's shifted over the last few years. Oh my gosh, we really need these parts guys. We really need these service guys. So we've kind of. I always say we've kind of made our way to the Thanksgiving table, right? We're at the dinner table now. We're not the little kiddie table in the corner anymore. We've got the big boy table, and it's really fun to watch the parts department. And you see why I elevated Kevin to his position is his knowledge of bringing those profits that get overlooked a lot because everybody focuses on service. And, oh, yeah, there's parts, they'll follow service. And we believe that parts doesn't just follow service. Parts has to be embedded with service. And as we look at, opcodes and we look at price increases, it used to be, oh yeah, service is going to raise the price by $5. Okay, well, what about parts? They should get a piece of that as well. So we are really aligned with that as a group to try to make sure that we're elevating the whole fixed ops, not just service.
Yeah, well said, Bill. And really, Ted, we've been talking a lot about parts at the roundtable, and our audience today, we have a lot of general managers, dealer principals, and managing partners that are listening. And this is a $1 billion industry, parts. And it's exciting, Kevin, to think about some of the opportunities when it comes to inventory strategy. So Kevin and Matt and then Bill want to get your opinions on this to share with our audience today. What does a healthy, high-performing parts inventory truly look like? And how do you avoid both shortages and obsolescence?
Oh, man. Well, I tell you what, it's not a single easy answer. Whenever I said, how much time do you have? I really mean it. And that's, I think, to Bill's point, a lot of what has happened in the past is people thought it was, parts is parts. We've heard that, right? That applies to some things, but I think Matt has proved it so perfectly where knowing your specific OEMs, their policies, their procedures, how they will help you. In most cases, with most OEMs, they will help you manage your inventory well. Your inventory isn't going to manage itself, and it is very OEM specific. And if you don't have the right person in the right seat, it's not going to happen. Matt has done a fantastic job of taking, and I don't want to steal his thunder, so I definitely want him, I think he's that way on my screen. I don't want to take away what he wants to talk about, but his dealership would look very different today if he wasn't, brave enough and have the drive to educate himself on all the different brands that he has, because he has 3. And if he didn't know the ins and outs, he'd be in a really bad situation. So speak to that a little bit, Matt, about some of the things that you had to claw your way out of, and now you're literally quite possibly the best in the country when it comes to those 3 brands.
Well, I'll tell you what, it kind of goes back to what you said. How much time you got? So when I walked into this place, we were a $1.2 million inventory with a $350,000 bad inventory. So the first thing you have to do when you walk in is realize what you're dealing with. What are we missing on? What can we hit on? And start, as you like to say, peel the onion. Start looking at it layer by layer. What am I ordering every day that I shouldn't be ordering every day? What do I have in my inventory that I shouldn't have in my inventory? And then slowly start peeling it away, adding those parts. Also, it's important to make sure that you're ordering properly so that you always get the proper buyback amount, so you can send those obsolescent parts back and not worry about anything growing or getting out of control, which is something I really focused on. And as a result, over the last 4 years, I've gotten it down to, a 5% obsolescence, which is all, by just diligently managing inventory, watching what the trends are, and acting on it and not waiting. And that's how I got to where I am today. So It just takes time and patience.
If I could just add a little bit to that, 5% to a Toyota guy doesn't sound that impressive. That's almost expected out of a Toyota guy or Lexus or maybe even Honda. But for a Land Rover, I think specifically is one of the harder ones to deal with. That is truly best in class. And whenever I say best in the country, I'm not kidding around. I'd put money on that.
Bill, what other perspectives do you have regarding, both avoiding part shortages and obsolescence? And how do you see this from the fixed ops manager perspective?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to it. And I think that we also we have to monitor the parts orders situation. And we have processes in place that we have a BDC center that's doing outbound phone calls, continuously trying to schedule to get those parts off the shelf. And it's extremely important to know that if you have a shelf full of ordered parts, who's responsible, for those? The parts manager is going to tell you it's service because they ordered them. Service is saying, hey, I don't know, the customer wanted them. And it's all these, finger pointing. So it's really important to have a process together to get those parts off the shelf and on the car and get them scheduled. Mobile service comes into play with that. Certainly our BDCs, we're using Numa now for outbound texting and just continuing to build our technology platforms that'll help us move parts. And it's no different than a used car inventory. The longer it sets, the more expensive it is, and you got to move it. You got to keep it flowing, and you got to keep it clean. And these two gentlemen do an amazing job across our group, keeping our stuff clean and organized. And the bins are checked. You should be able to do daily bin checks and just make sure that your inventory is pure and clean. And so when Kevin moves in to do his inventories, he's got a big trophy over the side of his head over there. You can see we have contests that we run on parts inventories and, obsolescence and how many write-ins did we have. So it's a big challenge now across our group. But we've got some superstar winners around, and I think they own it, and they just own that process. So it's important to keep the inventory moving.
That's quite the trophy, Ted.
That is. To which I want to come to Matt with the next question, because Matt, Kevin Dumire has reminded me many times in the past that service can't sell those hours without the parts. All right. And it all comes back to having the parts, and parts needs to get a lot of love. So Matt, for you first, if I can, how do you balance retail and wholesale parts operations? And even more recently, we've had some discussions on e-commerce, right? To maximize both volume and margin.
As far as wholesale goes, I'm basically open to any customer that wants to inquire. I consider wholesale a something that's controllable, right? The parts guys are completely in charge of it. The parts guys, they're the ones who make it happen. So they can either be very successful at it or not. Our mentality is the more of these wholesale customers that we have that come to us that we can build a relationship with, the more sales we'll get from them, and we can just keep building the relationships. And as far as the retail goes, having a great boutique, having it well stocked for people to walk by and look at, they come walking right in. They want to see the stuff that you have and ask questions. And sometimes it's very exciting for the customer. And, they go and tell their friends. And next thing you know, their friends are coming over to look at the stuff that they were just being told about. And we have that happen all the time. And, it does work out to be a healthy balance with those kind of customers coming in like that. And then also with the wholesale customers that we deal with on a regular basis. The balance is get in as many as you can. And how many can we service?
And Kevin, from your perspective, balancing retail and wholesale parts operations, your thoughts?
Yeah, so when it comes to wholesale, we've always taken the approach at most of our stores that we're going to provide absolutely excellent service. And those accounts that appreciate that, they're willing to pay, or I should say they're willing to accept less of a discount. And so we provide stellar service and we get them the right part the first time, which, hey, that's kind of the thing that we're shooting for out in the shop too, right? Yeah. We want to get them the right part. We want to let them know exactly if it's a body shop or something, this is our return policy. We will help you out. We want to be a partner, but it's got to work both ways too. And so if you have the right partner, and I guess maybe we should call them partners and not accounts, I don't know, then it works and it makes sense. But then as far as the retail side, I'll tell you one quick story about, to me, what I think is a big win. I had heard a tip at a performance group that I went to, that one of the guys in the New Jersey area, I believe, he said, you know what, I'm thinking about getting greeting cards for my boutique. And I was like, you're crazy. And so a few years ago, we got with the company. We put up a rack of greeting cards, and it became one of our best sellers in the boutique. The margin was good, but obviously it was a couple dollars per card. Not a big deal, right? But I tell you what, we had the grandma that came in specifically just to buy. She loved these cards so much, she bought 12 cards because she wanted to take care of birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. Well, guess what she did before she left the dealership? She bought another car. So, it's bringing people into the dealership that may not be, a model of a car or an oil filter, but different things where we literally had people coming into the dealership that day. They didn't have a car to service. They weren't looking to buy a car. They just wanted to come see what was in the boutique. I know that's unusual, but it works. And we've got it in a couple dealerships and it works well. So you got to think outside the box. We'll say that, from robotics to greeting cards. That's what we do here at Tom Wood. So.
Bill, there's a lot here to unpack. Sometimes it's the obvious as well.
It really is. And again, that's what I love about our group. We're not black and white. We're not in a little box. We sell greeting cards and I love our robots. I'm big, as you know, Ted, in the robotic space and have been for years, and the AI, and we're continuing to advance our robots around the group. And it's that time efficiency of it doesn't stop and have conversations. It doesn't call in sick. It just delivers parts. That's what it's supposed to do. And that industry is continuing to get better and better and better. And at NADA, we recognize that, and we spoke to several robotic companies there that I think is going to continue to help us be more efficient within our parts departments.
Isabella, you recently had a chance to see some of those parts robots in action yourself in dealership.
Yeah, I mean, the technology that is coming out is just incredible. And even being able to be at NADA, we saw the fighting robots, which really blew me away personally. Now, Kevin, I loved how you talked about how the parts department can be a great opportunity for these dealerships. Where do you think that parts departments typically lose time or the most money? And what kind of processes have you guys made that has made the biggest impact in improving this efficiency?
Well, most recently, specifically the robot. I'll be honest with you. And it's not, when we say robot, it's not, you don't just see the robot and then it's gone. You've got a dashboard. You can look, you actually have identifiable, KPIs really. And you can say what a good job looks like when it comes to a robotic employee, so to speak. I think we were averaging, most of the time we average 1.5 miles a day on this robot. And that's all he's doing right now is delivering robots. And I'm saying he, I should not identify that robot as a gender, but anyways, he's got a face, so and a name, right, Bill?
It sings. Woody's his name.
That's true. It sings whatever music you want to put in there. Oh yeah, it'll do it all. But besides that, like we're innovating towards, okay, well, some of our dealerships we can't put it in the parts department, or it can't get to the parts department because there's a door there. Well, we've solved the problem. We have an automatic door opener now to where, the robot gets close and the door opens, and it doesn't have to cost $40,000, so it's a matter of finding out how can we save time every step of the way. And I go back to something that I discovered 20 years ago. I was cleaning out some drawers in an old office, and there was a VHS tape. Isabella, you may not know what that is, but a VHS tape of the Toyota 7 storage techniques. And I took the 20 minutes to watch that, and it just taught you about, oh wait, just because all your oil filters are over here, all your brake pads are over here, pull it out of your DMS and go by rank. What do you sell the most of? Maybe you should have a mixture of parts over here, not just filters or just brake pads. So looking at just, based on volume, how can I take a few less steps every time I touch that part? So it's a constant thing. It's a constant desire for us to get better and better. And the robot has been the most modern, the most current development of that.
Yeah, I love that. The emphasis on just keep growing the company and keep developing. Now, Matt, can you kind of talk about what kind of processes you've developed in your stores that have helped you become the best in the country, as Kevin says?
Yeah, I got a couple of them I could share. As far as processes go, we have a lot of them, and that kind of touches on saving time. When you have a process on how to handle a situation and somebody can go to that process and know I should do this for this reason, this way, they don't have to, they don't waste time trying to figure out what they should do. They just already know how to do it, and that saves time. As far as other processes that help us get this inventory lined up, we have a really good return bin situation where, if a part comes back and it's not something we stock, but we got to get it put into a bin so we can take care of it. They know to locate it to this one particular bin, and I know that anything in this bin needs to be returned. So once again, that's a time-saving situation where they know exactly what to do and how to do it. And it makes my job easier and saves me time because I know exactly where to go find these things. Also, we have processes for when new parts come in. How do we locate the new part until it makes its way to the new bin with the label so that everybody knows where it is for the time being? And things like that. Once again, kind of touching on saving time, knowing how to do something when I have to do it. I don't have to go ask the manager. I don't have to ask somebody that I work for. I can just look at the process file, find it, and act on it. And that saves so much time. It saves so many questions. And it just helps everybody feel more relaxed and comfortable because they know what to do.
Yeah, I love that. Bill, do you see an area where these departments are losing the most amount of time and money?
Yeah, so one of the things that Matt does extremely well that we're going to be sending a lot of people from field trips to his store to look how he does it. So he has everything laid out, labeled. So example, we acquired Mighty Distribution. So Mighty is now providing the shop supplies and a lot of different things in our parts departments, batteries, wipers, etc. So now when the Mighty rep comes in on our behalf, all they got to do is look at Matt's racking system, and it says, I need 5 of these, I need 10 of these, there should be 4 of these, should be 3 of these. So they don't have to speak to anybody. They can look at the shelving and see exactly how many of what they need. And again, that's that efficiency. That's the throughput. That's the accountability of inventory. That's controlling your costs. It's like nobody needs to speak here. You look, you see what it needs, you fill it, you invoice it, and you're set. And those are really great best practices that we're trying to grow around our group. And as we're under construction of one new Honda store we're building right now, and the Porsche store Gen 5. We're going to break ground in the coming months of that one. So our designs continue to focus around some of these best practices that we've developed. Robotics. Hey, we need sliding doors. We need space for these robots to be able to run around. So we're making sure that we relay this to our architects and engineers as we're designing these stores, because of guys like Matt that have developed these best case processes that is just going to help us continue to get better.
Yeah, they say time is money, so it's great that you guys utilize every second you can.
And
Bill,
Isabella, I literally have, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say, Isabella, I literally have a spreadsheet where it will show you the value of a minute, and you punch in certain things on how many techs, how many lifts, all that, and it will tell you literally how much money you can make if you can trim off a minute off of each tech. 1 bay, 1 minute, 1 day, and it's I had to check my formulas multiple times because the numbers were so high.
Wow.
Kevin, everyone's going to want that spreadsheet now. They're all going to be emailing you and contacting you and Bill.
Small fee. It can be had.
And to Kevin's point, we looked at that heavily when we were evaluating the first robot we were bringing in, is how many minutes can this shave off? And again, you start backing in to this number, it's a ginormous number. So it's tough to say the robot doesn't make sense when you have a document like that.
Yeah.
Bill, it's going to be exciting to see these new facilities firsthand. I know Ted and myself and Isabella are looking forward to those grand openings on the horizon where we'll get to see all this in action. I want to just have a quick lightning round with our group today. And Bill, I'll kick it off with you first, and then Kevin, and then Matt. But just, hate to put it on a 30 seconds or less, but let's do that. Add a little bit of pressure with this last question. Bill, where do you see the biggest opportunities for parts departments to grow in revenue over the next few years?
So I see the biggest opportunity is utilizing your Dynatron partners, look at an op code and see what the value of that part is per op code, top 20 opportunities. If you raise that $1, how much money is the value of that?
Kevin?
Oh my goodness. That's not fair, Bill. He's absolutely right. And honestly, to partner onto that, once you identify those parts, just look at the lower end of that matrix. You can the things that you sell $1 million of, if you tweak that even a nickel, it's going to turn into some real money. And honestly, I'm a firm believer that a part should not leave a parts department for under $5. I don't care what kind of part it is.
Matt, bring us home.
I'm with them. I really like Bill's idea as well. That's one of my favorites. But I'm also going to say that I think, accessories on new EV vehicles coming up in the future is going to be a really big hitting point for the parts departments. As oil filters and air filters go away, we're going to have to find a way to fill the void. And the way to fill the void is going to be EV accessories, dressing those babies up and making sure they have all the goodies on them so they look good and make money while we're doing it.
Well said. Very, very, very well said. Matt Cooper, Kevin Dumire, and Bill Demaree from Tom Wood Automotive Group, thank you so much. Great insights into what you're doing today. Understandably, the leader. Isabella Stevens from Northwood University, thank you so much. Great contributions to the panel today. Sarah, it just gets better and better. Parts is huge and growing, and a lot of eyes on parts.
It's going to be very exciting this year and into the subsequent years, Ted, to see just how much parts will bring to the table.
All right, everybody, there we have it. The leaders from the Tom Wood Automotive Group here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Every step I take feels like destiny. Game on the lock, building my legacy. The grind ain't free and it can't be bought. Grind ain't free and it can't be bought. Mind of a champion, I'm bringing every thought. I set the level, I set the tone. When the game's on the line, yeah, I'm standing alone. I set the level, I set the tone. When the game's on the line, yeah, I'm standing alone. They ain't never done it like this before. You know I'm the best, you can take that sword. They ain't never done it like this before. Set the bar high, then I raise that board.
Most businesses pay recurring expenses every month: utilities, telecom, waste services, industrial laundry, without knowing if every charge is accurate, if their service levels still make sense, or if they're paying more than they should. I'm Steve Thompson, founder of Integrity Cost Consulting. For over 30 years, I've worked in accounting and finance, and I've seen how complicated these expenses can be. Our team helps verify charges, identify refunds and savings, and support your existing process without changing vendors or disrupting your operations. We need very little from you to get started, and if we don't find savings or refunds, you don't pay us. You can calculate how much we can save you by using our hidden profit calculator by visiting integritycostconsulting.com.
Join us at the Rohrman Automotive Group pop-up as we learn from the leaders in parts.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Angie Piscato, joined by Sarah Van Tyne. Today we are in Schaumburg, Illinois at Rohrman Automotive, the grand opening celebration for the new Kia location, a beautiful facility. Angie, it's so exciting to be here today. We have an incredible panel with us. we're going to be talking a little bit more about retail parts. But before we get into that, Ricky, I want to start with you and go down the line and introduce yourself to our audience that's joining us today.
My name is Ricky Perez. I'm the general manager. I've been with the company since 2018.
I'm Ed Roberts. I'm the COO and GM of Bozard Ford Lincoln in sunny St. Augustine, Florida, and I've been with Bozard since late 2012.
Scott Stevenson, parts manager, Shon Kia. Been here since 2020.
Nick Ruffolo, fixed operations director here for the Rohrman Automotive Group. Been in the lovely automotive business since 1997. I've been with the group now since 2008.
Excellent. I want to kick this off by asking the group a question. What does a modern, very high velocity parts department look like right now?
It would be kind of like we do, is you want to have a good online presence, use of all the latest technologies, and be up to date on pretty much everything you do.
Oh, and to tie on with that, anything that we do nowadays, no matter what it is, we pick up our phone and we go online first. What's the source for me? And so we have to be relevant, and that speaks to the online presence. We have to make sure that our relevancy is there, so that when someone is looking for something, that we do show up.
Huh. Scott?
That's true. Yeah, because I mean, like anything, like I look at something for the house or even here, first thing I go to is probably Amazon. Wow, because it's just easier to find out what the price is, to have it, and then they can tell you when you're gonna get the part, or where you're looking for. So absolutely.
Nick, it's so true that online sales are continuing to be a growing aspect of retail parts. And parts itself, online e-commerce, is a billion-dollar industry with more projections continuing to grow. How are you in the Rohrman Automotive Group competing on sites like Amazon, eBay, and aftermarket marketplaces?
So that's an awesome question, because I'm currently now looking to tag up and team up with Amazon to get our relevance on online presence. I mean, we need to be at where our customers live and breathe. If we're doing it, so are our consumers. And we did sign up with Amazon Autos as well. My counterpartner was on a panel earlier today, which is Jeremy Nolly. He's got us on with Amazon Autos. So if you're going to be on the Amazon Auto side soliciting and putting our cars out there for sale, wouldn't one think that it would be best to make sure that you could show our consumers that are purchasing the cars from Amazon Autos, hey, we could, you could purchase the parts from us as well. And you're not just closed network just to this area here in Schaumburg or Kane County, DuPage, or just Illinois. I mean, you're going across the world and everyone's shopping. So I think it's important to be on online presence when it comes down to parts and accessories. Absolutely.
And I'll tie on with that a bit. It's our responsibility to make sure that, well, let me back up from that just a touch. We have so much pressure on us today to meet so many different things. And so we can't just make this endless list of things that we have to do. We have to move things off that list. And when it hits us, I need this. And you can instantly go to Amazon, because that's what we're comfortable with. We have a level of trust that's already there. We know what the response is going to be. We're not going to handle it. And so we have to do the things to make sure that we're there, because that's where our customers are going to go. And so when we put our presence out there, customers want to get things off their plate so they can value their time and be able to move things on accordingly. We have to put ourselves in places where they want us to be. And if we're not, some nuts gets that business, and that's what we all work so hard to try to prevent.
And Ricky, I'm thinking about a lot of different ways that, me as a shopper, when I'm looking for something for my vehicle, whether it's, a part for the hood or the tires or some of those considerations, the first place I turn is online. And so, that's also a big component when it comes to the variable side of the equation. Our websites are so built around new and used vehicles, but parts is taking more of a center stage in that prospect. And
absolutely.
Well, Angie, it's more exciting than ever with retail parts, but I know there's a lot of other elements like pricing that come into the equation.
Yeah, absolutely. When you are online, it does require data to really make sure that pricing has a strategy and a thought behind it. So let me ask, how do you use the data to price your parts to be competitive in such a marketplace?
Angie, if there's a company out there, a group that's not using the data to check their pricing and seeing where they're at, then they're missing the boat, right? We're big into data. We follow the trends. We use that data to support the decision of making when it comes down from how many counter people we have sitting at the counter, right? All the way to what we're stocking on a regular turn, and controlling our obsolescence, and just making sure fundamentally the data is that data can make bad decisions, right? So you got to check your data, ensure that where the data is coming from, is obviously a reliable source. There's tons of company out there that can help you with if you're not in-housing your own data, and if you make good decisions. So it keeps you profitable.
And we know what our costs are. And we need to know what our cost to do business is. And when we're selling parts online, we're not necessarily a parts department at that time. In that moment, we're a fulfillment center. And as a fulfillment center, we take a lot of elements back. So that calculation becomes a little more streamlined when you're trying to figure out what can I sell parts for online because I have less here. It's less labor intensive to do that.
And Scott, just thinking about this long-term strategy and, again, like Angie and the team have pointed out, data plays such a critical role in that pricing strategy. How are you utilizing data today to impact your retail parts business?
Oh, I mean, that you can't bump up the price because everything's on live. So you have to keep it fair or else you're going to have an unsatisfied customer. And the idea is to have the customers come back to the store. And if they want to do their own oil changes, we're here for that. But we got a hell of a deal going on for $50. Can't beat that. So that's pretty much it.
Well, Nick, this has been exciting to unpack all of the strategies that Rohrman Automotive Group has really put together. And then here at Schomburg Kia, all the exciting pieces with the grand opening and the facility. It's going to be an exciting 2026 and beyond.
It is. We're looking forward to it. And Ricky and his team here at Schomburg Kia already started off in the right foot for 2026. So hats off to the folks here at Schomburg Kia and beautiful store that they have now.
Well, on behalf of Angie Pescato, Ted Ings, and myself, I'm Sarah Bantine. We are here at Schomburg Kia at Rohrman Automotive Group for the big brand opening at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Stay tuned. We've got more coming up next.
It's kind of a mix between a sense of pride and solving a problem.
When you are taking on a multi-million-dollar investment, you have one opportunity to do this right.
When the Jim Ellis team came to us, and when really any of our clients come to us, they say, hey, here's this box that this brilliant architect put together, and we need you to help us come up with the best flow put, the best throughput, and really the best design to help us maximize our efficiency in our service department. So when you walk into a finished project like this and you see your design and your layout, the equipment that the team put in, it's a really cool feeling.
Pride. It's just incredible that our small little company can accomplish something this grand, and we do it day in and day out.
Parts managers run million-dollar inventories inside outdated systems that were never fully set up for how parts departments actually operate. Most dealerships don't have an inventory problem. They have a visibility and structure problem inside the DMS. That's where Parts Edge comes in. Parts Edge works inside your DMS to structure inventory the right way, by movement, behavior, and real-world demand. We design and maintain smart stocking source templates, act as a co-pilot for daily inventory decisions, and deliver clear reporting that shows exactly what needs attention and why. We're not a manufacturer automated replenishment system, and we're not a one-time consultant. Parts Edge is ongoing support for parts managers who want control, not chaos. Across hundreds of inventories, Parts Edge has helped dealerships reclaim hundreds of thousands of dollars and unlock 20% parts sales growth by fixing structure, not spending more. Parts managers deserve better tools for one of the largest cash investments at the dealership. Every part on the shelf is a financial decision. Are yours working for you?
Let's welcome our next speaker, Eric Meahan with Repair 360.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Eric Meahan is with us, Repair 360. Eric, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks for having me back again.
Great to see you a little earlier this year. A lot happening, Eric, in this space with used vehicles, reconditioning, and fixed ops. It all seems to be coming together under that big umbrella with Repair 360.
Yeah, that's right. And we anticipate used cars really taking off in 2026. So it's an exciting time to dive into some of these topics.
And dealers are finding, as the place to, make money and count on that, because Varial's been a little bit different lately. Is used cars, fixed ops. So I want to ask you about that. Used cars being increasingly in demand by consumers. The consumer's looking for ways to save money, but used car gross has dropped. I see over 12% year over year. What do you think, or what are some of the factors that are contributing to that profit drop?
Yeah, it is a good question. I think we're still actually seeing some issues that have popped up post-COVID when used car prices soared, when there was a lack of vehicles because of chips. And then from there, we ran right into inflation that then ran into tariffs. So it's kind of been like a perfect storm of problems that have kind of led to some of this, some of the issues that we're seeing around used car profits dropping. But on top of that, there's still part shortages, which are making parts more expensive. We have labor shortages making labor more expensive. And a lot of the newer cars are becoming more complicated, either because they're EVs or they have ADAS features that mean, so if you touch a bumper, now you have to calibrate the bumper or calibrate the car because of replacing the bumper or the windshield. Those are things that we didn't have in the past that are eroding some of the profit as part of it. And then the last thing that we still see is dealers not managing the recon process well, which is adding a lot of time and taking away how much money that they can make on a per unit basis. So there's a lot that's going in, and the dealer can only control what they can control, and that's kind of what we try to help the dealership with.
I know Repair 360 really helps the dealer. And I want to ask you a little bit more about that recon process. You and I were talking in the green room before we got started. I had a question or two to ask you about some of the latest Carfax data showing 2.5 million vehicles that are on the road right now are suspected to have their odometers rolled back. I thought that was a thing of the past. But you tell me it's not, and there's actually a 14% increase versus just 2 years ago in 2024. Why are dealerships encountering more vehicles with odometer rollbacks and other fraudulent work that's been done to them?
Yeah, we all thought it was a thing of the past when you couldn't actually physically roll back the odometer on the dashboard itself, but it definitely is not. So now the odometer reading comes from certain modules on the ECU, and what we are seeing is a couple things that are happening. You can actually go buy devices, even on Amazon, that will allow fraudsters to actually update the odometer to give it an incorrect reading, right? And then on top of that, the other one we're seeing too is actually just them manipulating the VINs to make it look like it's a different vehicle. But when you're in a world where used cars are in high demand, meaning they're getting more money than ever for used cars, it's a big incentive for people to go buy a car at a cheaper price, roll back the odometer using a tool, and then go sell it at a higher price because it looks like the vehicle has less mileage, or it's actually a different vehicle altogether by manipulating the VIN number. But yeah, I know a lot of folks think it doesn't happen, and because of that, they don't check for it. But unfortunately, we still see it quite often with some of our larger clients that have kind of caught on to this, that are checking now. And those numbers are about in line with even what they report to us is the frequency that they're seeing it. And look, this isn't businesses trying to pull a fast one on other businesses. It's usually individuals or groups of people that are just doing it to make a quick buck.
And Eric, there's a focus now in retail. As a follow-up, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
dealers are encouraging more trade appraisals, more evaluations, because the more vehicles we look at, obviously, the more sales we can put together. So I would think this is going to be, if it's not already, top of mind. Okay, and what's happening out there in the marketplace.
Yeah, it definitely is. And look, we encourage our dealers to, if they're not trying to actively acquire more vehicles from appraisal versus auction, to be doing that is a way to help control cost. But at the same time, that's where some of this risks comes into play, and you have to be aware that this is happening, and you have to have measures in place to check for it. And like nobody wants to think that their customer is trying to fraud, pull a fast one on them, but it happens. And there's other things that you can catch as part of this process too. So we definitely encourage, one of our things that we tell our dealers is, recon really should start at the appraisal process, but actually part of that too is just making sure that you're acquiring the vehicle for what it is, and not for a different vehicle or different mileage.
You mentioned the VIN numbers also as a target. All right, any tips, anything you can give our audience? How can dealerships, to help identify fraud work on a vehicle during that appraisal process? Anything that you're seeing out there that comes to mind that we should be aware of? Because we've got a lot of used car and recon managers who are watching. They may have some of their own, but I would imagine with the number of vehicles that you're involved with, Repair 360 around the country, you might have seen a few things.
Yeah, the big one is some of the typical stuff that they're doing, making sure that they're bouncing the VIN off of Carfax or AccuTrade or anything along those lines. It's going to give more details about the vehicle. That's really important as part of this process to keep doing that. But on top of that, though, we highly encourage them having a portable OBD2 scanner device so when they're doing the appraisal, they can plug it in. One of them is Blue Driver, happens to be one of our sister companies that's fully integrated into Repair 360. But as part of that, you're going to get a couple things that are going to happen. Blue Driver can talk to all the modules on a computer, or on the ECU, so it can find the actual VIN number and actual mileage, even if it's been altered, and throw up red flags, so you know that this is something you should be paying attention to. And then it goes a little deeper into that too, which we can talk more about. But that's kind of the basis of where they should be working today. And I would say the vast majority of dealers still are not scanning cars, and there's other reasons why you should be scanning cars. One of the things that we didn't talk about here, but it is something that's happening more and more, is customers buying cheaper devices off of like Amazon again, and clearing their codes before they trade the vehicle in, right? And if you don't take measures to do that, you may be buying what you think is a clean vehicle, and turns out that vehicle is going to cost you a few extra $1,000 in repairs.
So using that Blue Driver device, best in the industry, by the way. Okay.
Yep.
You got to be extremely proud of that. But using that can help identify things like the actual VIN. And again, it doesn't take a lot of time. It just takes that little bit of extra effort. And again, Blue Driver is very easily available. All right. To dealers to use, and having multiple of them as well.
Yeah, that's right. And you plug in the device, you click the button, it starts scanning. And by the time you walk around the outside of the vehicle to look at other cosmetic repairs that may need to be done, it's already done its scan and is giving you any indication if there's anything wrong with the vehicle, as well as some other stuff like if there's codes and what the repairs may cost, and pulls in part data and labor data, so that way you can build out a better appraisal and also protect your dealership from any fraud that's happening.
We're speaking today to Eric Meahan from a company called Repair 360, big name in our industry, helping retail dealers, franchise dealers on the new and used vehicle process. You've addressed some of these already, Eric, but I want to just come back. Why is it important to have these integrated systems for recon so buyers can make a better purchasing decision, buying, in other words, the dealer buying, when appraising vehicles? Why is it important to have these integrated systems?
Yeah, it is really important. If not, you're kind of buying blind, right? So when you appraise a vehicle, whether it be Blue Driver that's integrated into like motor to give you parts and labor data, as well as we're integrated with all the OEs, so we get the actual OE diagnostic data. It reports back to vAuto, so you can build out a better appraisal that way and understand your costs. But it also then reports the data back to Repair 360, so you can start the reconditioning of the vehicle before you even acquire the vehicle, right? So you'll know what parts and labor you need. You can get a head start for when you do acquire the vehicle. all this type of stuff helps make a better purchasing decision, because you're going to understand how much you're going to be all in on that vehicle, if it exceeds the capacity of what you're willing to recon on a vehicle. Some of the parts that are more common that may require back orders and stuff, you may try to avoid that. And then just getting a head start on the part ordering, scheduling sublets helps shave down cycle time right off the bat before the vehicle is even in your used car reconditioning facility to get to the next step. So, nowadays, if you're using disconnected tools, you're getting some benefit, but tools that are fully baked throughout your entire process, it just adds a ton of value to the dealership as a whole, and kind of helps control that cost. Back to question number one, in order for them to help make more profit per unit.
It's an exciting time to be in our industry, Eric, because these are legacy industries, okay, automotive retail, but now all the technology that you're talking about here, it's really changed the whole game, okay?
Yep.
It's made it exciting because, I can't wait to see what's next and what's coming. And if I can just segue a little bit, how are EVs and modern vehicles, you mentioned the ADAS features, want to come back to that. How are EVs and vehicles with those ADAS features complicating recon and making appraisal decisions even more important?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely added a whole layer of complexity to the process. And if you got to think about, like, the person looking at a vehicle may know a lot about, ICE vehicles, but when the EV rolls up, you don't understand the health of the battery, you don't understand how many times it's been supercharged, what the health of the actual motors are. And that adds a whole level of different type of analysis that you're gonna have to do in order to acquire this vehicle. And a lot of times it's just best guess. And even a lot of the tech that's out in the industry today that is making judgments about the battery health of the vehicle is just that. It is just a judgment. So, and then for vehicles that have ADAS features, which are anything that's, within the last few years, this then adds a whole different level, because if you're looking at a windshield that needs to be replaced, now you're talking about calibrating the vehicle. Same with, like, if there's bumper damage, mirror damage, this adds additional cost and time. A lot of times some dealers can't do this type of calibration event themselves, or if they have to replace the part and they have to program it, so then they're outsourcing it, which may mean seeing it to a different dealer or having a sublet vendor come on site, which then adds days to the process, as well as adding multiple hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars worth of calibration and programming events. So this is just stuff for the dealer has to be aware of as they're appraising the vehicle, and they're thinking through, like, how much money am I going to put into this vehicle in order to get it frontline ready, and am I willing to make that type of investment? And there are tools like Blue Driver, who is adding EV technology into its product today, and as well as Repair 360, that has a robust feature set around parts and labor targeted towards ADAS and EVs itself to kind of help manage through this process. But a big part of it is just awareness and education in the industry to make sure that they understand that, it isn't just as simple as, a $200 windshield anymore. It's, it's a $200 windshield or $1,000 windshield and a $500 calibration event. So exactly. So the car is safe to drive, because nobody wants to put a car out on the market that isn't safe to drive because the ADAS systems aren't aligned.
Right. That windshield may have been a couple $100 a few years ago, but today that same vehicle is equipped. And Eric, used vehicles are going to continue to be at the top. Okay. Great interest in what's happening right now. You're on the cutting edge there with Repair 360. All right. Where does our audience go to get more information on how you can help dealers, how you can help their specific dealer? I know you are integrated with a lot of things that dealers are using right now. Tell us a little bit more how dealers can get more info, because I think this is the perfect time. We're in the spring market, and it's going to be big this year.
Yeah, that's right. So obviously you can find us on our website at repair360.com. We also post a lot of content on LinkedIn, so you can find us there as well at Repair360. And feel free to reach out. We're always happy to help. The big thing is we try to help our customers more than just on the software side, but actually help them better execute on their recon, better manage their vendors. So we try to be a partner to our dealerships to really make them more efficient.
I think the person who learns the most at these Fixed Ops roundtables is me, because I get a tremendous education talking to you every time we get together, and I've already learned a lot today. Okay,
Awesome.
in just a couple minutes that we've had together, Eric. So
Yeah, I appreciate it, Ted.
Congratulations on first of all doing a great job explaining it and making this more understandable, and for dealers to reach out. Everybody, Eric Meahan is available, Repair 360, repair360.com on the web. His email is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You can reach out to them there. And if you are on social media, on LinkedIn, as many of us are, I see that Repair 360 is super active. So Eric, thank you for all you do for the industry, and congratulations to you on continued success with Repair 360.
Thanks, Ted. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. There you have it. Eric Meahan with Repair 360, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Recon doesn't slow down because teams aren't working hard. It slows down when execution breaks between steps. Repair 360 connects the entire reconditioning process into one workflow, from appraisal and inspection to vendors, approvals, and billing. See where vehicles stall, act on delays, track total recon spend per vehicle in real time. Built-in messaging keeps every conversation, photo, and decision tied directly to the repair order. And with direct dealer track integration, repair orders sync automatically, from vehicle receipt to completed right back. Fewer stalled vehicles, predictable timelines, protected gross. Repair 360, the execution system behind recon.
There are a lot of competitors out there. What we're looking for, though, is the total package.
CDK is a proven solution. The support is ongoing, the development is ongoing, and for us, there is no other solution.
I really believe they know our business, they know the automotive space, and more, they continue to be able to help us use the system the way we want to do business.
That relationship is really what this is all about. You don't have a relationship with software, you have a relationship with the individuals behind the software. That's what we're really comfortable with CDK.
Our next speaker is on the cover of Fixed Ops magazine. Now she's stepping off the page and onto the stage, Julie Douglas with Dealer Pay.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we're talking about a moment in the service experience that often gets overlooked but is absolutely critical, the checkout process. To help us unpack this topic, we have Julie with us. Julie, thanks for joining today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Great to see you both.
Julie Douglas, CEO and sales lady extraordinaire from Dealer Pay. Julie, as always, let's start with the big picture. You're great at defining that for us. Why is the checkout process so important in the service experience?
Well, as I describe it to dealers when I talk to them about payments, it's the last experience. So they're not necessarily focusing on, the write-up, the MPA, the other processes. It all comes together at that final moment, which is when they're making payment. So that is where, if there was friction, could potentially ruin the whole experience. So we definitely don't want that.
Fascinating stuff. And tell us a little bit more about why speed is so important to this process as well.
Sure. Consumers today, they want everything fast, convenient, and frictionless. And that experience is huge for being able to retain customers at the dealership. So dealerships average about 1.5 to 2.5 hours, while many aftermarket visits are completed in under an hour. So the checkout, the patience for that consumer is already gone. So a slow or unclear process can undo a really great visit.
Julie, that makes so much sense. And, beyond speed, is there a psychological element to this as well?
Sure. I mean, the checkout is the ending, so it kind of wraps up everything that consumer experienced during the whole process. So if it was smooth, fast, and frictionless, chances are CSI scores from that particular customer are going to be much greater than if there was any hiccups along the process. And a lot of times those hiccups are caused by older, more commoditized payment solutions, which we talk about a lot, but it is actually still in the majority of dealers today.
And Julie, you opened our eyes to this at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. This wasn't even a thing that we were aware of, but you put it on the radar and our audience saw it early, okay? And now you've got adopters left and right who are realizing this is so important to the entire process, and it makes a huge impact. What can dealerships do to improve that final step of the process?
Well, and we talked about this when we discussed, the siloed experience last time, is I think they just need to pay attention where the stop gaps happen. And if they have to use multiple systems to accomplish one to two things. And I think if a lot of times you have the folks who are the decision makers in their payment solutions actually seeing where these stop gaps happen, that's number one. And number two is just understanding that you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to have this burden that could be causing issues with your dealership employees. It could be causing issues, with relationships between departments and then ultimately the consumer. So just understanding that it's a process that can be improved. And I think that's huge.
Julie, that's such a great point. And I'm also thinking about, when customers are describing, what happened during the course of the service visit when they're speaking to family or friends or, spouses, recapping what happened. What do customers actually remember most about their visits?
They could remember the process being confusing. They could remember there being bottlenecks. They could remember like limited capacity, or they could remember vehicles moving faster. Everybody's focused on the results and the process was easy. And that's where you want consumers to be. So they're already scheduling their next visit.
Julie, let's talk a little about the operational side. Everyone's looking for efficiencies these days, especially in the service process. How does the checkout impact dealership efficiency in your mind?
Sure. So if you think about, like let's just say you're going to a restaurant, right? You've had a wonderful meal, Ted. You've finished your last glass of wine. Maybe you had dessert, right? In the event it comes to the payment experience and it's clunky, slow, maybe there's, problems with it where there were amounts that weren't correct. I mean, that in itself, because we're dealing with money, really causes friction with customers. I mean, just myself as well. I mean, I'm in the industry, so of course I pay attention to everybody I pay, but it's one of those things where it may not be as important if you have a hiccup in the write-up or some of those other pieces. But when you're talking about money, there's a whole level of attention on this particular moment that I think a lot of people don't realize.
Julie, that's such an incredible insight. And, thinking about the big takeaway that a dealer listening today can implement, what would you say is that takeaway that is most important for dealerships today?
Just to understand how the entire experience works for the customer, whether you're in variable ops, fixed ops, whether this is the full communication up through accounting, really all of this workflow can in fact be gapless or frictionless, if you will. And in the dealership ecosystem, with many wonderful technologies out there, AI, integrations left and right, if there's something that stops, it can really cause more problems than you see. And it can even cause inefficiencies within the dealership. So when you talk about hours of time, time is money. We always say that. But I think the big takeaway is just understand that there is technology out there that is innovative, but easy to use and is designed for impacting a positive customer experience. And then at the end of the day, when the money comes through the bank and you're reconciling and there's no hiccups there, then now your departments are communicating well and everybody's just in a much better position.
And I think inherently over the years, Julie, the industry really wasn't paying attention the way it is now, okay? And when they close the ticket, okay, that defines the whole experience. As always, you've opened our eyes to a lot, especially here today on this conversation. Any other thoughts? Any other final thoughts from you?
Well, we work with all kinds of dealers from, your one location to 50 plus locations. And, they each have their own individual needs, if you will. And I think it's important, though, whether you're a small dealer or a large dealer, that you pay attention to this piece of it because it does have a big impact. I mean, not just on the process and the experience, but the economics, the profitability. There's so much that you can uncover by just looking a little under the hood, no pun intended, about what you've been how you've been processing for however many years. And if your provider is in fact still doing whatever they can to make sure your dealership is successful and profitable as possible.
Julie, I think we're going to be seeing you on the road as well with the Fixed Ops Roundtable coming up in the next couple months. And great to see your team and your team growing, and this organically becoming part of the conversation now as we go out to dealerships and talk about this.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud about that. It's lovely being in a position of mine where I can grow a team and they have such great passion about the industry as well. I mean, it's really something that I had hoped for in my career, and it's coming to life. So
incredible information, Ted, as always. And Julie Douglas is really leading the way when it comes to these innovations that really help the dealership have better retention, better customer satisfaction, and better operational efficiency.
Dealer Pay is the platform for modern payment convenience. They are dealership specific. Julie knows this industry like nobody else, and she has championed this, and you could see the success as it rolls out. So everybody, if you haven't already, visit dealerpay.com. Julie Douglas, you see her email scrolling at the bottom of the screen. That 314 number, that's your number, isn't it, Julie?
Yes, sir. I mean, even as we grow, I'm still happy to pick up the phone and talk to dealers. I mean, it's important that they have an actual person that they can call, and if they've got problems or if they're just have a question, we're more than happy to help, whether you do business with us or not.
And Sarah, it speaks a lot to the service that Dealer Pay provides our retailers when, Julie is that engaged, okay, with everything. And when there's an issue, she doesn't hesitate and get involved and get it handled, Sarah.
Julie is such an incredible resource for our dealership audience today, and definitely take her up on this because she is the leader in what she does.
Everybody, if you want to elevate that entire checkout process at your dealership, and it's time to do that, Julie Douglas at Dealer Pay is the person to speak to. Dealerpay.com. Julie, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, thank you for all you do for the industry.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Julie Douglas from Dealer Pay here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hey, how would you like to pay? Card, cash, or check?
I will do a card.
Okay, thank you very much. And will you sign right here?
Sure.
Okay, have a great day.
Great, thank you.
Introducing Dealer Pay Moves, Dealer Pay's new mobile application for dealerships on the move. It's really great because all you have to do is search for your repair order. It's then going to search whichever DMS that the dealership is connected to. As you can see, it's going to pull up that customer record in that open repair order. I'm simply going to select it. Now you've got all your customer details here, including the surcharge amount if it were to be applied with a credit card. I've got options to pay by credit debit. I can key enter the transaction. I can use a paper check or even report cash. I can even add transactions in here so I can do some real-time voids and refunds. Dealer Pay Moves is a great solution for your dealership to stay relevant and mobile.
Time to get behind the wheel. We're back with the best of the best for our Fixed Ops Week event.
Here are ACV's Randy Barone and Tully Williams of the Niello Company, bringing the truth, the trends, and a few reality checks. Let's get it started.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have the ACV panel. And Ted, an exciting opportunity to introduce ACV and Viper to the Fixed Ops Roundtable community.
What a great introduction, Sarah. You're so right. Randy Barone is with us from ACV. Also coming to us from the West Coast is our great colleague and friend, Tully Williams at the Niello Group. Randy and Tully, welcome, and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. Certainly appreciate the opportunity of being on here and talking about Viper and ACV and all the incredible things that are happening right now. A lot of people know ACV as an auction, but in actuality, we're a technology company bringing in the latest technology to the auto industry, helping dealers in every aspect of it, from front end to the back end. And obviously today, real excited about talk about Viper and how it's helping the service departments.
Well, Randy, you may not know this, but Tully has been telling us about Viper for some time. He's been really excited about it and the developments. And Tully, if you don't mind, maybe share what you can with the audience and things that you and Randy and the team are working on.
So I'd love to. So, Viper has been a huge deal. As we know, a healthy used car department makes a healthy dealership, and it's also healthy for the fixed ops department. As we know, buying cars at auctions is not the best place to buy them. Buy them from our service drive is our target. And we have done great success this year by doing that. But now with this Viper camera, which is one thing about it is that it is not a large footprint. It is actually a small footprint where we have two cameras that sit over and the car drives through. Lights come on, takes the pictures, God bless America. But there's a couple things that does that. One is that the best used cars are coming from our service drive. And are we doing a good job for that? Because here's the deal. We are right now at 74% retention rate in our service department, which means people are coming back. And we want them to do what? Trade that car in on their next car. And that's where Viper is really helping us with this, is how do we make sure that when customers want that information, how do we give it to them every time consistently? And it targets with one thing here is your service advisors and your service department on board. This is the problem at most stores, because what we don't want, I don't want a salesperson run around trying to say, buy your car to service drive. I'm going to smack that guy and tell him to get out. That's not what the whole premise is here. The premise is this, is that when those cars come in, they will get an offer. We're going to ask them that process. And our process that we came up for us is really, really incredible. Can't wait to share that.
Sarah, an exciting time in our industry, and ACV has a great name in the industry.
It does, Ted. And Randy, we're thrilled to have you here alongside Tully today. And just to kind of kick things off for our audience, the Fixed Ops Roundtable, we're all about elevating the people and the technologies that are powering the service drive. But I'm curious, from your vantage point at ACV, what are the biggest shifts you are seeing in how dealerships manage their fixed operations today?
Well, I'll tell you that I do a tremendous amount of 20 group meetings and state association meetings and workshops. And I actually tell some dealers that you actually should not be in the service department putting numbers on cars, and everybody's mouth hangs open. It's because they're actually hitting those customers with such low numbers. So you're taking your best customer and you're hitting them with a ridiculously low number. So what we focused on at ACV is that your best customer is your service customer. You need to treat that customer right. So why do you go to the auction and you sit there and buy cars and pay all the money for them, and then you go to your service department and try and steal cars out in the service department? It makes no sense whatsoever. So when I hear Tully talk and I hear him say, hey, we're very focused on that, that is a breath of fresh air. Not buying cars at the auction, buying those cars out of service. Those cars turn faster. They make better profits when they get those cars. They know the history of those cars. You get a better selection, better quality. If we can, as a company, we're so focused on making a circle out of it, a circle of life, to be able to sell that customer car, service that car, bring that car back in, and complete that whole process. But it's all about treating that customer the right way And also many stores, they try going to buy cars out in service, then they fail at it. They get a bloody nose and they just drop it. With Viper in the process, they can make it a consistent, fair, clear, equitable situation for both the consumer and the dealership, and then everybody wins.
Amen.
Tully, I think this all fits very well into the Niello core values too.
Oh, it sure does, because our goal is that we're in the repeat and referral business, as Randy said, is that if we are keeping them maintained in the service drive, the customers trust the service advisors. And to me, the key of this is how do we get our service advisors engaged in this, right? They're going to trade the car in no matter what. We just want it to go through the service drive, the process, instead of, after we say no to a repair, they might show up the weekend or whatever next week. Our goal is going to be is how do we start that process, and how do we get our service advisors bought in, because they're the ones that can ruin it for you. When you have a salesperson like Randy say, run around trying to get prices, all it does is drives people away. And our goal is not to drive people away. And when you look at a dealership, who's the most trusted person at a car dealership? The service advisor is normally that person where they trust, because they've built a relationship over 3, 4, or 5 years. So our goal is how do we get our service advisors bought in? First is you've got to explain to them, this is a positive event. When we buy that car from that customer, they're going to trade it in. Do we want them to trade it in on another brand? And the answer is no, we don't. Our goal is how do we transfer them? 2 is that when the car repairs get exceeded a little bit too much they want to spend, the advisor probably already has that feeling and says, it's a time. We can give you a price today and we can trade you in today if you're prepared for that. The advisor is going to be that non-sale. This is when you have that relationship. And then if they decide to do that, then we pass it off to the acquisition specialist, not a salesperson. Salesperson is going to muck it all up, but an acquisition person that knows how to delicate that dance. And then if they decide to trade that car in, then the sales department can take that customer on, and maybe they already have a favorite salesperson. But our job is going to be the acquisition manager. Now, when we look at this, how do we get them bought on? First is that it's all about, I call the leads, right? And the leads are people with hand raisers. Cox came out with a great thing. It says 35% of all customers want a price on their car. I couldn't believe it. Was great news for us. And now if we do that is we are asking our BDC, when we make those reminder service calls, we have this this lovely lady Barbara that she says, hey, I'm just calling to remind you, would you like a evaluation of your car for free? No pressure. Let it start with a very soft person to say yes. We'll add that to the repair order. Right now, when that customer comes in, the service advisor will see that line on the repair order and say, hey, I see that you want a price on your car. I will have our acquisition manager will get to you. But first, we want to inspect the car and do with the service that you recommend today. Right now, the advisor's bought in. Right now, we have that lead. When we're writing 60 cars a day, right? Let's say 20 days a week, 20 days a month. How many leads should we get? And we believe that we should get at least 1, if 2, and maybe even 3 leads a day per advisor. Okay, right now, those leads cost us $0. Those leads are the best leads that a sales department could ever have in a million years. So now our first thing is, how do we get our service writers to have a bonus by making sure that we have enough leads? Boom. You get 200 leads or whatever the number is, give them $200, $300, $400. God bless America. Right? We have an acquisition person that sits in the driveway. Oh my God, with the service manager listening to him to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. No offense to anybody. But the goal is going to be is how do we bring those leads together? And now we ask those prices, and now we can measure a closing percentage, right? And we bonus our service advisors, because now if we sell that car, if we buy that car and trade them into another car, is what we want to do 100% of the time, is now that service advisor gets to close the return ticket, gets another customer, because now that customer will come in with their newer car and come back in the service drive and see that service writer, and that used car is tagged with their number, and that person that buys that car will now come to the service advisor. The goal is to convince them that now I have gotten 2 customers and I didn't take any gross away from you because you got the right to recon ticket. How do we make this a seamless event? And this is where ACV Auctions and the Viper product is helping us tremendously. I know I'm talking a lot, but this is so exciting.
Randy, first of all, congratulations that ACV is working with the Niello company, because the audience is listening in to Tully. And this audience that we have here today, these are the early adopters, the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth wave, who, when Tully speaks, people listen. So, Randy, does this sound about right with how this is going to be working out?
I would tell you that, me and Tully did not speak before we actually jumped on this, but we're actually speaking the exact same language. And that's what's exciting. Most stores, there's a disconnect between the sales department and the service department. They actually fight against each other. In this environment, it's working harmoniously together because right now, used car inventories across the United States at dealerships are at an all-time low since 2000. We haven't seen it this bad since 2019. So when you need cars, why are you running to the auction to acquire cars when you're getting the wrong cars, not the right cars you need in your inventory? The right cars are out there in the service drive, and having that process. I can't stress enough the process. Technology is great. Processes solve problems, but great technology helps hold in a great process. And what Tully just described is a great process, because if I came in there right now and said, hey, Mr. Service Manager, I need you to service writer, I need you to walk around the car, picture the car, notice all the damage and write everything down, that takes a tremendous amount of time. It takes away from the things they do. Plus, are they going to do it every time? So this approach of Viper, it does it 100% of the time exactly the same way and has all the information. As consumers today, I believe what I see, not what I'm told. I could give a care less. Randy's been doing this for 40 years. But as a consumer, most stores put a number on a car and then they come back and hit the car really hard to the consumer, and the consumer knows that game. In this environment, Tully and his people are actually able to say, hey, here's your car. Here's all the information on your car. Here's some of the things that our system picked up on. And those kind of things make consumers a believer because they believe what they actually see. Things they might not notice, the software and the technology picks up with Viper from looking at the car underneath and on the complete body of the vehicle.
But I want to piggyback on that as well, is that we're also waiting to make sure that we do a quality inspection on that car before we give that price. So then that customer knows if the tires are bald or the brakes are zero, or is there a coolant leak or an oil leak or whatever it is. But the goal is going to be is now when we give that educated decision to that consumer that that car is worth blank, guess what they already know? They already have the quote that we built already that they know about.
100%.
Then what Viper does is it tells you all the dents and dings on there. They already know that, just so you know. The goal is going to be is that we have a great educated customer that's about their car. So now the negotiation is smaller because people don't like to negotiate. They just want another car, but they want to be treated fairly. And as long as we show them that fairness, that's the win.
Sarah, I'm actually getting excited about the whole process. And not only is this the future, Sarah, this is now. This is the current state of the industry. You've got two great leaders here with us today.
We do, Ted. And Randy, congratulations again. It's so exciting. And to have somebody as passionate as Tully about Viper and again, just the success story and how this fits into the ACV ecosystem, it's also incredibly exciting for our audience today. I am curious just to get a little sneak peek. Talk to us a little bit about Viper and how, ACV, a lot of our attendees know the name, but they may not know specifically about what you're doing with Viper and the service side of the house. Could you give us a little sneak peek about the technology and how the installation process goes?
That's probably one of the easiest things. There's other technologies that are out there, but literally they have to come tear up Tully's service drive to, that literally takes up a whole bay. It takes up a tremendous amount of room. You have to have designated, electricity. You have to have all these things to be able to do these things piped into the ground. On Viper, it's literally you're plugging it in. The unit it can actually be moved. So if they want to redesign the shop, redesign how they want to utilize it, they can just simply move it. So that makes it dynamic. When a customer actually pulls in, there's what we call a virtual lift 2.0 on the ground, and then you've got the two pillars. And when the car goes through, actually driving it through, the system actually scans the undercarriage of the car, stitching together thousands of images, picking up on things, not just taking photos. There's a lot of companies out there to take photos. This is actually having that information along with AI to be able to say, hey, guess what? That's not just rust, that's penetrating rust. Hey, that's not the catalytor that belongs on that car. Hey, this car has these kind of issues. It's got we're picking up on an odor. We're picking up on a heat. We're picking up on a leak. Those kind of things. It's just amazing to be able to see when you've got Headlights on cars today, on some of them are $15,000, and windshields are thousands of dollars. You can't miss stuff today. So we've got stores utilizing it in service, appraisals. You know, we're basically like Apple, if you can imagine. We're tying everything in together. So what you'd be able to see is the appraisal process, the service process. Not that the customer goes online, gets one number, then comes to the dealership and gets hit with another number, goes to a sister store and gets hit with another number. We're making it nice and transparent across the whole group. That builds trust with the consumer. They're hearing the same thing. They're seeing the same thing. All of that process works phenomenally well. But when you take in that kind of technology, along with the AI, to be able to say, hey, this is how it should look, but here's how it looks. These are the issues that we pointed out. Because we've inspected millions and millions of cars, we have our own data lake. So it's not open AI, it's actually our own closed information. So when we see that, we know the sound of that motor. That means that I know the difference between a motor knock and a belt noise. The system has all of that kind of technology built into it. So for Tully and his team, it is just crazy exciting to be able to do that. And then where you're going with it, imagine a car coming out of detail, to be able to ride through and get that car pictured up and then listed online, to be able to have those photos, those descriptions automatically. That means I don't have people sitting there clicking buttons. When they drive the car through, it takes all the exterior photos, does the description on the car, then launches that car, lists the car, and our technology prices the car. So for Tully and his team, you actually have the ability to get a real value. We give a retail value, we give a wholesale value, and we give a guaranteed value. So we are helping the dealer make decisions like, why would you try and steal a car out in service when you've got a guaranteed number right there? You can rest assured and be safe to be able to know you can make a very educated decision on that car and not miss it. And that's our biggest thing. We want them to trade for more cars. This isn't about ACV getting the cars. It's about them keeping the cars. We just want to help them be able to have the power and the authority to put the right number on a vehicle at that time and make it a very smooth process.
100%.
So exciting, Ted. It's incredible to hear all of this innovation, and it's getting happening here at the Niello company and with ACV.
Sarah,
So
you and I, in a couple of weeks, are coming to see Tully.
Yes,
we're
you
excited
are.
about that. Are you going to be able to give us a little bit of preview when we get out there to Sacramento, how this works?
Absolutely. I cannot wait during the pop-up event on June 10th, and we're excited to have ACV auction there. But I just want you to tell it, there we are at our beautiful Porsche dealer. But the goal is going to be is that the process, what he talked about, is so true. And when you look at it, is what the benefit for fixed is. Because a lot of times people say, this is a sales tool. This is a sales tool. Well, here's a couple things, is that this is also a fixed ops tool. Even if we're not buying cars, that Viper turns into a fixed tools as well. So a lot of times you look at it, what do? We go out there, we walk around the car with cameras and take pictures of the car to tell the customer who damaged the car or not. Okay, everybody thinks they're Steven Spielberg taking pictures. It's an annoyance. Okay, Viper handles that for us. God bless America. The next piece of the puzzle is we're going to look at it. It also is going to scan the tires and give us a tire measurement that is actually pretty darn accurate, that we're very excited about. The next level is going to be integration with Dealer Tire, which will give us pricing. Notifying the customer of that a trained technician is going to double check the tires, but also that warning is going to be a big, heavy lift for us. And the next thing of that puzzle is going to be is that information can be sent to the customer as Viper integrates with a lot of great customers. As you know, we're X-Time customers, as we had a great conversation with them. And how do we get Viper involved in that, where we now give out a service price for that car on the X-Time pamphlet, but also too is that how do we feed information back and forth to benefit the customer and be open to everything? That is where it's going to be. And we see that this is just as much as a fixed tool as it is a sales tool, and that's the win of this whole situation.
All right. Don't give away the whole story yet, Tully. All right. We're going to come out and see it in person on June 10th. We're going to be at the Niello Company in Sacramento for the big pop-up event. You're going to want to join us, everybody. I know that Tully will be there. Rick Niello will be there. The leaders of the organization will be there. We'll have a studio audience as well, and ACV will be joining us. Tully's got a whole lot planned, so gentlemen, congratulations.
Second for a quick highlight or a quick real-world situation, 2 seconds. So we were doing an install in New York. One of our people, one of our regionals was there. They needed a car to run through. He ran his car through, was so impressed by the number. Long story short, winds up taking delivery of a vehicle. So the dealership sold the vehicle to one of our experienced people. So that's how well that process can work. So Tully's got a great opportunity, and I just wanted to make sure I shared that with you for sure.
That's great. That's awesome.
All right. The best is yet to come, everybody. Randy Barone from ACV, Tully Williams from the Niello Company. For more information, visit acvmax.com. And, of course, the Niello Company coming up here in just a few short weeks. ACV, everybody, with us here today with Tully Williams at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you.
Taking care of business is our next speaker, Brian Kramer from Cars.com.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Van Tyne here with Ted Ings. Today we have a very special guest, Brian Kramer, EVP of Dealer Growth and Success at Cars.com. And Ted, as always, I know we're going to have an exciting conversation with Brian and our Northwood University team.
That's right. Brian Kramer is here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Also from Northwood University in Midland, Michigan, Isabella Stevens is here, and Bella Smylie to help ask the questions. Brian, it's first of all exciting to have you back, and exciting to have these young people who are also the future of our industry as well.
No, it's exciting for me to be here. It's always exciting to spend time with all of you, and especially the two up and comers from Northwood. The future of the business.
And Sarah, they've always got great questions, so I figure for this, maybe we start with Bella and Isabella asking the questions. What do you say?
I think you're right, Ted. I'm curious to hear what Bella and Isabella are going to ask Brian.
Absolutely. Right. I've got one ready to go. How is the digital retail sector changing not only sales, but
changing the way that service and fixed operations work?
So that's a phenomenal question, Bella. And I would say that the first answer to that would have to be, I think the dealers need to redefine what they consider as digital retail. Everybody kept on trying to do what they called digital retail during COVID. But I would say that was more of just a different glorified version of lead generation. I think that as now we're starting to get deeper into it, AI is getting connected to things, that digital retail is much different today than for the ones that are innovative than it was before, because now you can actually collect data. There's a lot more things that you can do ahead of time. And I think that everybody, including all of us, have a lot less tolerance for wasting time and waiting around than even 3 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. I think that digital retail is respecting the consumer's time, gathering as much information ahead of time. And then most importantly, the digital part of it is easier now than it was a few years ago. What's much harder is connecting the online to the in-store part. Similar to when you go to a doctor's office, you filled out everything online, you get there and they hand you a clipboard and ask you to fill it out again. And if you have that as your process, the clients and the consumers, I've seen them get extremely upset when that's the process. If you make them start back over when they arrive, I think that you really have to connect it so that if the customer wants to come in and do the whole thing in store, you can do it that way. If they want to do 90% of it online, that you can do it that way instead of justifying why your customers like to not do that better. I think that instead of us defending why things are the way they are, why we think they should be, we should listen to the customer and start there.
Wow. And Brian, I think that's huge that you're saying that dealerships are going to have to put in a little bit more work to kind of get these acquisitions. And you've said before that, 1 out of every 3 trade opportunities, dealerships are kind of missing out on. What's happening to the other 2 before the customers ever even make it to the dealership?
So I always wonder why more people don't ask that question, because we throw out the stats all the time, but nobody really ever says what's happening to those other vehicles. And I don't know if it's because they don't know, they don't want to know, or they do know and they don't want to hear the answer.
Yeah.
But I know this, there's 38 million vehicles, used vehicles that'll be sold. Some of them are peer-to-peer, some of them are wholesale, about 15 million of them are consumer vehicles that will get replaced at a franchise dealer. Now, of those 15 million, this is an important stat, of the 15 million, 2 million will be acquired by the 2 largest publicly held independent retail used car operators, right? So we know who they are, but the ones that sell the most used cars are the 2 that acquire the most. But they sell about, high 2%, 2.5% to 3% of the total used cars sold. They source, depending on which number you look at, 13 to 15% of all the used cars from consumers. So there's a huge disparity. So to answer your question, those 2 are sourcing a large percentage of it. The average is 35%. New car trades is like 43%. Used cars is 26%. Wow. Those 2, whatever you want to call them, aggregators, even when they go to sell a car, they're closer to 70%. So they're getting, which is, the number of how many people have a trade is 70 to 75%. So there is a percentage that aren't replacing it. They have a lease, scrappage, they're getting totaled or they're just old, but there's still 75% that have a trade. And that's one of the things the last few years when I was in retail is I used to go after that relentlessly. Where did they pull up on a skateboard? Like, where is this car going? And in most cases, the pay plans in BDCs, the pay plans are in salespeople, new car managers aren't conducive. Service advisors, service managers, really what's in it for them if there's a trade or there's not a trade besides more work? So there's pay plans, processes, removing friction, making it easier. And we talked about this at the Rohrman event, right? The dealer should be relentlessly trying to remove friction from service advisors, service managers, all dealership associates. If somebody wants to sell you their car, friend, family member, it should be easier to sell the car at your dealership than it is at one of those 2. And I would be obsessing about that right now.
Yeah.
Brian, you're so spot on. And, the conversations and the processes that you just pointed out, that's typically been a source of friction in the sales experience for a customer. That perception that, oh, it's a trade-in conversation. I'm not going to work as hard as a salesperson when I see that lead come in or when that opportunity comes across my desk. But I'm curious, from what you're seeing at cars.com, where are customers starting the trade-in conversation today, and where are dealers missing them in this process?
You guys have all the good questions today. So I didn't even realize this until I looked at the data recently, but right when you and I were in retail, Sarah, everybody used to always say, oh, well, let's just avoid the trade. The customer, or you would ask the customer about the trade, but everybody would say they're going to parachute it, which means dropping it in at the end of the deal. So there was always this friction. You're going to anticipate that, it's coming, right? But the interesting thing is that parachuting doesn't happen anymore. They do that. They parachute it at one of those competitors I just talked about. But the most interesting thing, and it's not just on like cars.com marketplace, but also our Dealer Inspire websites, we see it. The consumer journey begins with the trade, and they start searching from there as to who they're going to do business with. And then they start doing selection, which for the entirety of the internet, they've always started selection. And then they might go to payments, affordability, that sort of thing, then trade. But trade has superseded that for the first time ever, to where that's now the point of entry and everything else follows after.
Wow. This is incredible information, Ted. And I mean, that upends a lot of the perception that a lot of retail salespeople may have about where these trades are coming from.
Brian, you mentioned reducing the friction. We're seeing that, and we're hearing that conversation everywhere in the industry, not just, of course, on the sales side, but on the service side. And it seems that's now really top of mind. Reduce that friction, make it easy for the customer. And that's what those two aggregators have done. And I think you've shown us some great examples over the last few months as well.
But there's also some retailers that we see on their Dealer Inspire websites, the time, the appointment conversion, what's happening after the fact. And I think that something that's really important, AI is like this real big buzzword right now, and everybody, some people cringe and some people wince when they hear it. And a lot of people only think of it when they're thinking about inbound text, inbound leads, and that's AI, right? But AI really starts with the search and the discovery. How do they see you online? Who's citing you? Who's recommending you in these Google AI overviews? And I think that's the next migration. But I will say that the most important point in my mind is what I see with AI, with appointments, automation, marketing. It's all the opportunities increasing. And one of two things happens after that. Either the staff is ready for that handoff or they're not. And when they're not ready for the expectations that were set by an AI agent, when they're not conducive with the promises that were made on the website, and you used to have a human that had, I don't want to say common sense, but they knew basic things. And if you aren't taking the time to go back and train constantly your AI agents, they say some really goofy things. And then more importantly, the handoff in person, they don't know what was said. So it actually can cause more friction, slow things down. It makes it look like the right hand's not talking to the left hand. So just because you put an AI, it's like a trade widget or any widget you put on your website, that's not going to solve all your problems. It still takes work, and it's going to take effort, training, just like a human. And you have to constantly keep fine tuning all that stuff. And you need to make sure that relay handoff from AI to human, that's really where over the next 5 to 10 years, that's the ground that everybody needs to conquer and win.
Absolutely. And Bella and Isabella, I know y'all have some more questions to throw at Brian today to unpack some of this conversation around AI and vehicle acquisition.
Yeah, absolutely. So with you saying the way that dealerships are able to kind of maximize everything that they've been doing, the way that they can change these rates and really just fine tune all of their processes to really benefit the customer, but also bridge that gap. What's the biggest impact that you've actually seen inside a dealership when dealerships really push into platforms like Cars Commerce?
Man, you guys are really asking good questions today. So I would say it's not one answer. It's a constant. So I would start, to answer your question, Bella, looking at the core web vitals, because everybody, spends so much money on their website. They spend all this money on marketing. They spend all this money on retargeting, loss capture, win back customers, all of these things for the 70% defection in fixed ops, right? You put all this work into it, and then nobody measures what happens to that customer when they physically arrive. Did they get taken care of? Did they wait 2 or 3 hours? How are we converting that data? Did we have the parts ready? Did we have the tires ready? Are we connecting the online to the in-store from a parts availability? I know when I was in retail, there was so many times where somebody would just be coming in to get their tires, new tires on a RAV4, and we didn't have them in stock. And they had an appointment for 3 or 4 days, but we had a busy 2 or 3 days ahead, prior to that. So now we either have to put a rental car, a loaner car. They don't have time. They work. And I think that there's connecting the tech, the vendors like me, to the in-store processes to make sure that everything is fulfilled, and that promise, the online promise is being made, is probably number one, is making sure that you're not just expecting us, and we can't be expecting the dealer just to do it. We need to keep enabling them to help them out even more. But I also know that, like with our dealer inspire websites, how we're revamping cars.com and our AccuTrade listings to try to drive more traffic that way. The algorithm with Google's constantly changing, and now you've got ChatGPT, you've got Perplexity, Claude, all doing it differently, right? You've got to make sure that you're constantly updating. To answer your question, people need to keep updating their freshness of their pages. They need to deprecate or get rid of their stale pages. There's a lot of people that still have 2014 specials lingering around on different pages that they've forgotten about. And Google and these AI tools now are so powerful that that kind of stuff makes you look like you're not an expert. I'll transition to 2 or 3 more that I think that are real quick wins that any dealer can do, and they're not a lot of lift. On your About Us page, I used to be paranoid everybody's going to recruit my technicians, right? But right now, when somebody's looking for the best place to service your XYZ model make, these crawlers aren't just searching your website or Google. They're searching Reddit. They're searching Dealer Rater, which is the car's commerce entity. But those are like the 2 big ones. And it's not as much Google and Facebook anymore. Reddit is also, for everybody who's watching this Fixed Ops Roundtable, it's a little hack, the best place to recruit technicians, because that's where they're at. And they spend a lot of time. But if they can't reference that you have X amount of certified, master certified techs, world-class technicians at General Motors, star certified at Mercedes-Benz, you don't have to put their names and their emails to, so somebody can recruit them. But Google's Gemini, ChatGPT, they're all looking to see, are you an expert? Do you employ experts? How long have they been with you? We've got 200 years of experience. We've got, 3 world-class technicians, total of 100 years in service. Salespeople, same way. So it's looking for tenure. It's looking for 4 things. EEAT. It's looking for what kind of experience are you going to deliver? What kind of expertise do you have to deliver that experience? Authoritativeness. Are you the authority, or are you referencing everybody else besides yourself? Because you should be the authority in your community. You should be doing all these things locally. And then trustworthiness. Does the Better Business Bureau, does Reddit, does Dealer Rater, does Google, when it goes and looks to see all the claims that are on your site, does that match what the reviews say? And I can tell you, the last part of your question, I experienced this with a dealer that I'm close to, and their service business dropped off the map because their AI overviews, and they do a great job. But as we started digging into it, they said 60-minute oil change. Well, that's not what the reviews say. 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I waited too long. The next door, all these different places that didn't used to matter. And now the AI engine gets confused. So it chooses, should I choose this dealer or should I choose this dealer? I'll choose this one because it just seems simpler, and it seems they don't have the confusion. And AI hates confusion. It loves simplicity. And that's how it's going to make its decision. So I would say less is more. Don't put a bunch of stuff on there you can't back up, and just make sure everything is consistent.
I love that, Brian. Yeah, humans are complicated. AI really isn't. So it's
You're
pretty
so right.
simple. And I've never heard that before. EEAT. That's a good reminder.
Yeah, and it's Google's algorithm. It has been for a long time. That it just I wasn't able to see it until I got AI to be able to ask it to find it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very interesting learning in my marketing classes. We've switched recently from, search engine marketing to now we're talking about how you need to get your company in articles. They need to be doing interviews like this in order for it to even pop up with those AI search engines. So,
To show up in citations.
yeah.
What I love about Northwood, that stuff doesn't taught yet
Yeah.
in most places.
Yeah.
Brad, I'm really curious. You've talked a lot about AI friction being present in the dealership right now. Do you see the dealerships modifying and living up to those expectations that AI is setting, or do you see AI decreasing inside of the dealership?
I could talk to you guys all day. I love this. I love this. It keeps my brain fresh.
Yeah.
I see two things, but I see mostly. It's very interesting for me because I come from, like when everybody I knew, I started selling cars, but everybody I knew that was going to college was going to these marketing classes, in the mid 90s. And by the time they graduated, the newspaper, radio, television, media that they were going to school with was obsolete from when they were freshmen to when they were seniors. And everything they learned from the last 4 years in a year was obsolete instantly. So it was a very weird time. And I see that happening again now. And I see the same thing happening where everybody that knew those three medias were clinging to it and defending why they were still relevant instead of trying to see where it was going and what was next. And I see that with, our own organization. I see it with every vendor. I see it with every dealership in pockets. It's just a matter, I think, of what the percentage mix is. Is it 30%? Is it 90% pushing back? But I see a lot of people saying SEO is still relevant. Quit saying that.
Yeah.
For me, it's just data. It's just a percentage, right? If it's like EVs, it's not binary. It's either this or that. 13%, 10%, whatever the percentage is. Like, remember when hybrids came out, right? Everybody's pushing back, the axis of evil. And there was a percentage of people that wanted it. Now it's the overwhelming majority, but the consumer should dictate that.
Yeah.
And I think, Bella, to your excellent question, we should let the consumer dictate it, but our biases and our heuristics, we cling to them, and everybody wants the reality to be what they're comfortable with instead of what the consumer wants, and work from that, from there backwards.
Wow.
And I think that in some places there's a lot more adoption. There's also a lot more adoption in dealerships that are open to it from the top. And they get, like, one of the best practices I see with some really innovative stores is they have corporate, because a lot of them will say, don't get on AI. You're not allowed to, an open claw, things like that. You should not access those at work to connected to a work-based system. But everything else, if you have an enterprise chat GPT or OpenAI account or Anthropic, and you enable your staff, like at Cars Commerce, we're encouraged to use multiple platforms. We have enterprise accounts for them, and they want us using them a certain amount of time to be able to figure that stuff out and to test things out. That's the kind of culture that I would recommend, because now you're enabling people instead of just telling them what they can't do, which is, it never works.
Yeah, I agree. I think in life, sadly, change is the only constant. So you just have to learn to adapt and kind of move with the times, move forward. That's great, Brian.
A lot of wisdom from these young ladies.
It is, and it's a great welcome to the retail automotive industry. So, Isabella and Bella, thank you on behalf of the Fixed Ops community for all you're doing, and certainly great questions for Brian Kramer today from Northwood University. Sarah, it just gets better and better. In fact, I don't know whether our audience knows it, but Sarah is also a student at Northwood University. If you want to share some of that, Sarah.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's
so
awesome.
It's an
I'm
exciting
just talking
opportunity.
about doing that.
Oh, really?
The Automotive MBA program, it is a fantastic opportunity for professionals in the automotive industry to continue their education And, Brian, stay up to date on all of the incredible innovation and best practices that apply for dealerships, but then, being more aware of all of these different pieces across retail automotive.
So there we have it. And probably a good time, Sarah, to share our theme for the next Fixed Ops Roundtable 5-day event in September, which is going to be a Northwood theme. It's going to be back to school, and we're going to talk about all the great things that are happening in our industry and for people who want to grow in our industry and do things like go back to school. So, Brian, great time to be in retail.
There's never been a better time. There's never been a more exciting time to be in retail, or just the auto industry in general.
Everybody, thank you for all you do here today. Isabella Stevens, Bella Smylie, and Sarah Vantine from Northwood University, and Brian Kramer from Cars.com. Thank you. Thank you for elevating the game constantly. And, I can't wait to bring you back and find out in another couple of months what's changed and what's new in the industry. So,
well, yeah, every single Fixed Ops Roundtable, it's like a completely different scenario. It's like time travel.
There we go. I love it. Everybody, Brian Kramer from Cars Commerce here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
No, thank you. And let me know how Buster reviews that new car seat in that back row.
Danny, you just hit your sales goal for the month, and with a 4.9 review rating on Cars.com, how do you feel right now?
Man, I am so hyped right now. Anything is possible. Anything is possible!
You seem to just keep finding new ways of winning over customers. What do you attribute this success streak to?
My mom, for making me believe, my teammates, and Cars.com for giving me this platform and for putting me in a position to succeed on the VDP, and my customers for reviewing me there and for making me shine on the biggest stage and in front of millions of in-market shoppers. I couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, this guy is special. We have the #1 reputation in our market. Let's go!
Coming up next is the Fixed Ops Magazine panel, where top operators bring real strategies and show what's actually working right now.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with the Fixed Ops Magazine panel. Ron Overs, publisher, is here with a star-studded group with us today. Ron, this is going to be a really exciting segment, which I know all of the panelists today have no idea what questions might be coming their way.
I'll tell you what, Sarah, this is always a lot of fun. And absolutely, we have the best of the best here. And, if I had given away the question in advance, it just wouldn't be fair. So, this is going to be fun. You're going to hear live and in person what they really think or what's really going on with their businesses and things you may be able to adapt to their own businesses, those listening.
Excellent. Well, Ron, the stage is yours. Let's get started.
Well, sounds great. Thinking through questions, what would people like to really know? And I think the first thing I'd like to know is we're into May, right? So we've got into a good start of the year. What have you learned in these first 3-4 months that really is going to guide you for the rest of the year potentially? What have you picked up? What little nuances about your business really have changed you so that you can really fine tune where you're going? Robert, let's start right with yourself. What have you picked up?
All right, get me right off the bat here, Ron. I appreciate that.
Sure.
For me, it's we actually do quarterly reviews, so I'm in review of my final Q1, going in my Q2 settings, and the big part I found is we made small changes in our shop throughout Q1, and we're seeing huge pickups in kind of where our shop formation is going with their proficiency and the roles of the technicians and what they're doing out there. So we transitioned from a advisor-led dispatch system to a true shop foreman dispatch system in our shop, and it's definitely changed the whole model for what we're doing. We're on different scale. We're producing different set of hours. There's a different push out there, all from a person who understands the flat rate system more than anybody, leading the way out there. So it's been a good transition and change, and it's been one we've kind of been piecing together, and we're going into Q2 heavy with it. So we're seeing pickup already within the first couple of weeks of it.
Off to a great start. That sounds fantastic. Tom, how about yourself? What's happening up in Western New York?
So our mantra this year is customer pay will set you free. We can never build a business model around recalls as nice as it was with all the Ford stores and everything that they had last year. We know that that's not sustainable. Used car market might be a little bit tough this year, so I think it's going to be on par with last year, at least for us in our area. But what we've noticed is a focus on hours per repair order, right? Like Tully says, it's all about the hours. So looking at the sales trends of the last few years, we knew that RO counts were going to be a little bit soft this year. RO counts are a little bit down, but the hours per repair order are up. So as a whole, our hours are up. So technicians are happy, advisors are happy, parts people are happy, service managers are happy. But a lot of it is just that focus on every single, doing the same thing every time, looking at the vehicle, presenting all of the recommendations, and really looking at those customer pay hours.
Customer pay is so important, right? You got to get that balance, right? You can't just live off of warranty work. You got to have something else coming in to make it work.
A big focus on the express side, right? We want the early visits to go well and to go smooth, no appointments necessary, so that we can get the later on visits that actually carry the money.
Now, Scott, your first quarter's been pretty good. I understand, huh? You've enjoyed life pretty well, and so just so all of us can know what to look forward to, you tell us what the first quarter of retirement looks like.
Well, it looks pretty good. We've been doing a lot of traveling and seen a lot of things, a lot of relaxing, but still involved in some things. And, teaching and learning is always the number one priority, and trying to pass along and help the people that are still there to improve by 1% every day, just 1%, because the small changes are what really leads to big results. And that's something I'm kind of working on right now. We're putting together some training packages and stuff, things like that. So still got a few things going on, but mostly just relaxing and enjoying life and traveling around the country.
We're all looking forward to that at some point for sure.
Oh, so, yeah, I highly recommend it.
show us how to do that, man. That'll be great. So
yeah, right.
And speaking of traveling, Shon has now moved from the north to the Midwest, I guess we call Tennessee.
Central, Central Tennessee. Yes.
Yeah. How's it going?
So it's going well, and as I think we talked during one of the live I think on the Monday night show. It's obviously with AMSI, thanks to Sarah. Sarah once again made the connection with myself and AMSI. It's funny, and I think everybody knows that in the month of March we set an all-time record, and that's not about me. It's not about anything else. That did it with the exact same people. We didn't fire anybody. We didn't hire anybody, really. Maybe a couple of lube techs. We did it with the exact same people that were already there, but they weren't doing any of the processes. And when I say none, I pretty much say none. No walkarounds, no video inspections. We're using My Karma, heavy into Dynatron. I mean, we're heavy into BG. I mean, but they weren't following any of the processes. And in 1 month, literally, we went from it all, even beating the COVID record. And again, it wasn't about changing people. Now that's going to come. I mean, there's some upgrades that got to happen, but it's just showing them the way. Because once they see it in their paycheck, as Tully and I talk about quite often, once they see it in their paycheck and they go home, rich and tired, or however Tully says it, listen, the team starts to follow pretty darn quick because they see it in their paycheck, and then mama's happy and everybody's happy, and then there's no more interact, there's no fighting, there's no silos. I mean, it's really nice. They just let me alone. They let me do my thing, and so far it's been a really good move for Kathy and I. So,
congratulations on the move, and Sarah, thanks for making that connection, huh? So that's awesome, and that's exactly what it does take, right? You're there. They see you. They want to do the right thing. They see somebody who cares about them, and they're moving it forward. It's working. Tully, what's happening out west?
Well, we're focused on retention. This year is our year of retention. And how do we get people coming back? Tom talked about customer pay, and Shon talked about records, and Robert's talking about setting hours. But here's the thing is that without retention, this does not happen. And there's 4 things that we're focusing on at the Niello company: brakes, batteries, and tires. And we need to sell 100% of those. Now, that's practically impossible, but we can have strives. As our group together, we are at 72% retention. I do it myself. I don't rely on manufacturers to bottle up that number. But that's a really good job when we have stores up to 75%. But what drives that retention? Of course, great people. And I say great people to Niello company, we do a great job. But the next thing is, are we selling the 4 items that help drive that retention? Brakes, batteries, and tires. And when you put the emphasis on it, you'll realize that you don't sell as much as you think. And the nice thing about we use X time, and we know what we're doing with I call same day selling. It's really same visit selling. But our brakes are about 70%. 70% of our brakes that are red, we sell. We don't think that's a good job. We want to be 75 to 80%. When it comes to batteries, we're already selling 90% because they got to buy a battery before they leave. But then tires has always been a struggle. Tires drives retention. And why? So we give 1 tire away all the time. The Niellos pay for 1 tire. You buy 3, you get 1 free. And we've been doing that for probably almost a year now. And we're selling 55-ish% of our red tires. I don't know why we don't do 100. But what we're seeing is when we focused on these 4 items, and the last one is maintenance, of course, is that our retention is starting to creep up. And that's a number that is not a big number to change. It's slow and steady, and that's what you want. If it jumps up 3 or 4%, there's an oopsie in there. And the goal is going to be is that's going to help us drive long-term growth. That's going to help us get more trade-ins. That's going to help us sell more cars. And of course, that's going to help us drive hours in our shop. So retention is what 2026 we're focusing on.
Fantastic. And your sales department's going to love you too, right? I mean, at the end of the day, right? They really, that's what they're looking for, is to say, how do we keep this ship moving, and especially with high-end buyers, right? So.
It's interesting as you say that, is that, most sales departments are about today and not about tomorrow. And, since I'm talking about retention a lot and we've made success, and now all of a sudden they think this driveway out in the back where they didn't ever come before is a great place to buy used cars. It's amazing that they just figured this out. I think the issue is going to be is that now when we have great retention, guess what we have? We have happy customers that trust our service advisors, right? We're maintaining the cars, right? So when they have a trade-in, or we buy that car outright, which I rather not, I rather trade them up. Guess what they get? They get a quality used car. The service writer gets a thank you gift, and 2 customers. They retain the customer they always had, and now they have another customer to that used car that we traded in. And the goal is going to be is that you have to show the method there and show it works. And we have some great successes with our story as we're testing out this new Viper product to give quotes on cars when they come through the driveway. We have some great successes there. And the writers are buying in because they see retention and they see the extra customer when we buy that car. It's not like a takeaway, it's a give me. And that's what's really exciting.
Fantastic. Marco, welcome aboard this group. How you doing today?
I am fantastic, Ron. Thank you guys for having me. And this it's a great panel so far. So let's keep it going. What do you got, buddy?
Absolutely. And by the way, if you didn't catch it, Marco had an article in the last issue of Fixed Ops magazine. And thanks for that contribution, Marco. And
thank you for the chance, Ron.
Yeah, great words of wisdom. Tell me what you're seeing out there the first quarter of this year. What's happening?
Well, I've noticed that 2025 was a year of a lot of data gathering, a lot of talking, a lot of starting to really think like, hey, guys, we need to really start thinking way, way, way beyond the box. And as I said in 2026 NADA, I think 2026 is going to be the year of implementation of what we have gathered in 2025. So the first quarter was starting to get our feet wet. I think that going up into the second quarter, we are going to rely more and more on people, like Tully is saying, retention, etc. I think that a very positive feedback loop is going to be tremendously important in dealership growth on all sides of the dealership. And with that comes the contact with all your employees, getting a little bit more on the personal level, a little more on a purpose-driven instead of a goal-driven organization. You find out their why. It's easy to align it then with your organizational goal. And as Migs already mentioned too, I think that this year dispatch should be treated as a specialized position within the dealership instead of something that just has to be done by someone. So I'm glad to see that mix has changed it from advisor driven, which, as we all know, is going to be highly unfair, to more of a centralized position. Loading the shop form, not what it is, one thing. I would prefer to see it as a very specialized position within the shop that has to be entangled with appointment making, with the shop itself. So you have really, really good track of what hours are you selling, what hours are available, and how do we fill those up as efficiently as possible.
Fantastic. I think you're right on. And it's fun to see already the correlation between some of the things that people have said. You know, I mean, the simplicity of getting just 1% better, right? But how do you get someone 1% better? You have to talk to them. You have to find out where the deficiency is and where the opportunity is to grow those people, right? I mean,
exactly.
You got you got breaks at 70%. How do you get to 75? You get to 71. Okay, you get to 72, and you just incrementally grow that business, and you find out what's the impediment. Why are we not getting 100%? What's missing? I owned a Porsche at one time, and someone said, "Hey, you need 4 tires." Well, okay, I don't know what that costs, but one friend of mine with a current Porsche told me about a $7,000 brake job they had done on their car. So the numbers are rather staggering from what the average layman would think these things cost these days. But that's the numbers. And so the reality is, it's just getting a little bit better and overcoming that objection, whatever that is, to really achieve that. So it makes a difference. Sarah, tell me, what are you seeing in this first quarter? You're talking to an awful lot of people with the Roundtable. What do you see out there?
Well, Ron, it's been incredibly exciting to see the focus continuing to grow on fixed operations. As we can hear from our panel today, fixed operations is taking center stage in the retail automotive strategy. It's no longer the second thought of the dealership. This is the first thought of the dealership. And it should be, because this is how you maintain, this is how you grow. There's so many opportunities for us in our dealerships this year to really embrace fixed operations and have that be the central focus of how we continue to retain and grow our businesses. The other piece that has been really exciting, Ron, we are seeing more technology innovations than ever before when it comes to fixed operations. And so not only are the dealerships focused on the customer side of the business, we also have our partners focusing on the customer side of the business with how they're enabling their technology to let technicians and service advisors do an even better job with what they're currently doing with their processes. And even, modifying, as Shon has done, taking the technology that may already be in place and having better processes for the customers that are more employee and customer centric. This is just unprecedented, Ron. We've seen so much growth happening. And here we are. I mean, this is the first Fixed Ops Roundtable that we have had 5 days of content around fixed operations. And Shon Kingrey, you called it a long time ago. You said we needed 5 days. Here we are, Ron. We have 5 days of incredible information related to fixed operations. And Ron, I'm excited to see, again, how this is going to continue to evolve into 2026 and into 2027.
It is an explosion of information. And like you said, harnessing that, like Sarah, you and Ted do, and like we try to do with our magazine. We get, so many people say, I want to write an article for the magazine. And it's like, we have 9 spots typically in the magazine, and we typically have 9 to 10, and we typically have 30 to 40 articles that we are sorting through and saying, so what's relevant? What's important? What's really going on in this world? Which really leads into my next question, on with technology, is so many of us are looking at technology to solve problems, right? The first one was AI, right? AI with the BDC, right? Okay, we're going to have this, this machine just answer the, call people, text people, blah, blah, blah. And boy, that's going to solve our problems. Well, it didn't. Okay, I mean, newsflash, it wasn't the solution to the problem, but there's helps to it. It can help very positively with BDC. Well, my question to you on AI, this is the next question for the group here, is, are you using AI at all for your management, not for your replacement to help people, but ask yourself, are you using chat or whoever you're using to actually you ask questions and say, am I missing something? Are you using it as a tool for yourself to grow your knowledge or your insights into your business? Take those 24,000 spreadsheets, Shon, and shove them in there and say, what the heck have I learned over these years from these sheets, Robert, let's start right up at the top. Again, we'll go around the horn here and see if you tell me what's going on with you.
So for me, I definitely use it on the management side. I'd like to use it to, on a soft scale, critique some of my email. I'm not the greatest writer. I'll never be writing an article, Ron. I'm sorry. I'm not the greatest at that part. I just can't do it. But I will put I'll write my thoughts down. I'll write everything down, and then I'll ask the system to, develop a response to a staff member in a certain condition. Whether it's being sympathetic, having empathy to the conversation, and then read it back, and then utilize that in means of kind of how to communicate with that person. Context of emails, things like that, and even just in our management of looking at how we do our marketing pieces and what we're looking for. And to your point, like you said about Shon's Excel sheets, I do that all the time. I'll take some Excel sheets, I'll load them in there, and I'll ask it to evaluate it and give me shortfalls or things like that, or pick up different areas in it, and it'll actually kick it back to you and give you some answers to it, which is quite amazing and interesting and scary at the same time.
It is, and you laugh about the emails. I constructed an email to someone that I was not perfectly happy with. Okay. And I got it all done. I shoved it into ChatGPT before I sent it out, and it came back and said, Ron, you sound like an angry school teacher. Let's fix this. And it was just a funny response from it. And the reality was, it goes, here's a more professional, direct approach to resolving the issue you're having with this person. And it really came across, and I'm like, gee, now I sound like a really great guy, I don't know if I'm going to sound that good. I'm not that happy, but it is funny what you can use it as a management tool as well. Tom, how about yourself? Are you involving it in that capacity?
I do. I use it quite a bit. Reading a lot of books and watching as many videos I can find on the subject, the better you get at using the prompts and learning how to write good prompts, the better results you get. So making sure you teach the system, you want to have some context, right? So I always make sure that I start with who I am, what I do, this is what I'm doing. And then you have to tell that system how you want it to react as well. So it's like, hey, in this case, I want you to be a thought partner for me, right? I want you to challenge. Here's my plan, right? Here's the steps. Here's how I want to roll it out. I want you to challenge my plan. I want you to look for holes in it. I want you to ask me questions one at a time until you have enough information to really beat this thing up. And it's amazing how much information it has access to and how many things it can bring you. I also learned that you have to be careful and ask it to cite sources because many of those systems are prone to what they call hallucinations, where it just makes it up. So you definitely don't want to act from there. But the more time I spend learning how to write those prompts and putting in action, so that's one that I use. But you also can take that same system and you can say, hey, listen, you're a customer with a 2023 911 GT3 RS, and I need to sell you an alignment, right? So I want you to ask questions and push back until I've built enough trust to overcome and sell you the alignment, right? So you can do that, and then you can change it up. Once you're done, you can go, all right, well, now you're an engineer, and we're going through the same scenario, but you're an engineer. And the system will ask you way more technically oriented questions. So using those sort of prompts and those things for your people that are on the front lines actually selling the work, you have the ability to roll through all of these beautiful role-playing scenarios with just your standard, ChatGPT and Copilot and those sort of things.
Tom, great advice. And you're right. I think the first thing that comes up is fear not, right? I mean, the reality is, the bottom line is you got to use this thing as a tool, ask it questions, but give it perspective so that it understands what you're trying to do and to make that happen. So Scott, now that you're in retirement, are you still using the old AI for tools for yourself?
Oh yeah, Ron, absolutely. I almost think I use it more than I did before, but you just have to remember it's an assist. It is not a do-all or a fix-all. Like Tom said, you have to be careful. Sometimes the sources, are not exactly accurate. And I guess it has some learning in there where it starts telling you what you want to hear. So you have to watch out for that too. But the bottom line, especially at work, if you don't have good processes and you don't have good people, it's not going to fix anything. So you really got to be careful of that. Don't just assume that you can plug this in and be hands-free and never have to worry about anything again. So, but it's very helpful. It's amazing the amount of data that it can process in such a short period of time and give you answers. Again, you need to check all that. They have warnings on there now. Be sure and check the information because it might not be accurate, and that's very true. So, definitely everybody should get involved with it, learn as much about it as they can. Like Tom said, he's reading books about it and things like that, and use it for sure. Use it, but be careful of it. It's just a tool, like you said, Ron.
And it's a new tool, right? I mean, okay, it's now again, my iPhone since 2017 has been trying to predict my next word, right?
Yeah, right.
Or text. So it's not brand new, the idea, right?
No.
But it's gotten a little more sophisticated in what's the next word Ron needs in his email. So the reality is it is getting better. They said this year versus last year, it's 53% more accurate. Now that's dramatic,
I can see that.
right? Yeah, so it is way
good.
better than what, and next year probably will be 53% better.
Oh yeah.
Waiting until it's perfect is not the time to get in. It's
Right. No.
Fix it now. Check it again yourself against to make sure everything is accurate.
Yeah.
Shon,
Yeah,
in Tennessee,
definitely.
did they do this? Did they use this tool in Tennessee?
Not enough. It's actually probably more relevant of a question that I've had in a very long time. Actually spoke with Ted earlier in the week. I compare this AI to like sending a marketing guy into a service manager's office and say, hey, do some marketing. As service guys, we aren't marketers, guys. Anybody can put a cheap oil change package together, okay? We don't know what marketing, we don't know what works, stair-step coupons and whatnot. What I'm doing AI now is I'm looking at a lot of different platforms and about technicians, because as Tully's taught us all, it's all about the hours. Tully, don't give up the hours, buddy. I get retention, but don't give up the hours. Guys, you have technicians and the manufacturer. I'm not in sunny Wisconsin anymore, where I had a very liberal warranty labor rate that I could get $300 and $350 an hour. The laws in Tennessee are a little bit different. Okay. They're a little more stringent, and the manufacturers aren't getting any looser with their payings. Okay. But yet what do you yell at your technicians every single day for? I need better stories. I need better stories. I need better stories, which, by the way, the manufacturer doesn't pay you to do. They're not paying you to put stories in the system, but you're taking a technician that in some cases might be a technician because story writing isn't their gig. If they were, they'd be writing. They don't own a magazine, by the way, if they were, okay? They don't do that. I'm looking at AI solutions to help technicians write stories. I know they're out there, but the ones I've looked at, to be very candid, have become so difficult, so cumbersome, I get lost in them. And I admit, Mr. ADD myself, I'm 5 minutes into the demo going, guys, I'm lost. If I'm lost, the tech is way lost, because they're worried about the next car in their next hours. AI, I think, is a big solution for the technicians and increasing productivity and standing in the computer, hunting and pecking one key at a time. And I think that's why Marco's getting in the field, by the way, of what he's going to do is you have to help the technicians to turn hours. If they're not turning hours, we're not selling hours.
Really good point. Now, Tully, we know you guys are ahead of the curve in California all the time. So tell us what the curve looks like out there.
So here's the deal. I'm not an AI person at all. I believe human beings are great. And I believe that human beings make us great. And the first time I used AI to write an email, everybody emailed me back and say, who wrote this email for you? Because it wasn't misspelled, it wasn't all caps lock, and there wasn't 500 exclamation points. And I think that what happens when you have AI, and we have some managers that use AI, and that's how they talk to their employees. And what they do is, what does AI tell you? Everything that you do horribly. It's like going to a 20 group that's all fake. Their whole goal is to make you at the right side of the page or the top of the page. And I think that AI has a lot of great things. Like, I love that Shon talked about writing stories. Yes, we have one that Porsche is actually working with. It's just too complicated. But I think that if you want to have great success at your store, don't think AI is going to fix it for you. I know where I want to be. I want to sell hours every day. I want my technicians to go home rich and tired every day. I want my service writers to say same day selling at 70% of all red items. That's what I want. I hate to tell you, everybody, AI ain't going to fix that for you. It's going to be you out there coaching and mentoring and celebrating wins, not sending 400-page emails about how horrible you are by AI. I'm sorry I'm going on a tangent, but here's the deal. AI has a place, But in our business, as my dealer says, we're in the people business, and people don't want to hear an email that was generated by AI. Please use AI where it's needed, but support and mentor and celebrate the wins of your great team members at your store.
Some really good points, Tully. A lot of people say AI should be for actual intelligence, not artificial intelligence. 100%. And you've got the right people. You're making it work for you. Way to go! Make it happen. How about Marco? What are your thoughts on AI and as a leadership tool or as a management tool in the business?
Well, first of all, trust but verify. It's something very new, something that we have to be aware of, that it can do some great things. I personally like it for local data, like your own spreadsheets, your own information of the DMS, nothing that has to be pulled off the internet and can thus be diluted or be put in a completely different context. I see AI as a help to weed through a lot of numbers, to ask direct questions, to alleviate a manager's time of these tasks that are normally very time consuming, to be able to concentrate on things that matter most. When it comes to technicians, I think that AI is no different than the tools in their toolbox. Either you know how to use them or you don't. If you know how to use them, you'll make money. So all these AI programs that we've seen, like whoever visited NADA 26, oh my dear Lord, everything was AI. And most of them are driven to fill up the service drive. Well, where's the AI for technicians? Like it was mentioned twice now, the writing the stories. How about something as simple as being able to dictate my story to an AI who is loaded with all the technical jargon, that I can just stand there as a technician and talk to the computer instead of sitting down and having to blah, 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 sitting there, some one finger at a time, some of them 10 fingers at a time, but still it takes time away from me turning around or working on this car. And that hurts everybody. If I can just talk and say like, here's my story, here's my cause, here's my concern, and flawlessly it puts it in there. AI can be a great tool. It is not something to be trusted by itself. It is not something that will, like Tully said, will fix your problems or make you better. It will give you direction, it will assist you, and it can definitely help technicians produce more hours when utilized correctly. So I think just like with anything else, whether you ask a person or AI, one of the things that we have to hold in mind, you have to ask the right question.
That's right. Well, Ron, what an incredible panel with our group today. I know we've unpacked a lot of information in this time, but and again, always a pleasure to have this incredible group of panelists with us. Ron, real quick before we wrap today, if someone wants to learn more about Fixed Ops Magazine, submit an article or get a copy themselves, what's the best way to get started?
Boy, right across the bottom there, you see Ron at fixedopsmag.com. I love getting emails. I love reading them. It's so funny. So many people tell me, I don't read my email. Well, I do. Okay. I literally do. And I enjoy reading emails that someone who put some energy into and thought. So send me an email and tell me you want to write an article and let's have a dialogue about it and see where we go with that thing. Or if you don't get the magazine, well, shame on you. You should. Okay. Number one, it doesn't cost you anything. And it's valuable reading from your best peers in the business who are going to tell you how to do your job the best. And to get that, all you do is go to fixedopsmag.com, MAG.com. And sign up, hit the subscribe button, and there you go. You're in with your free subscription. So great publication. It's fun, and it's fun to dialogue with people and learn from each other. That's what this is all about.
Incredible stuff, Ron, and everyone. Thank you so much for being part of the Fixed Ops Magazine panel today. Robert Migliaccio, Tom Druzynski, Scott Gregg, Shon Kingrey, Tully Williams, and Marco Zwanenburg are here with us, and Ron Overs today at the Fixed Ops Magazine panel. Stay tuned. We've got more exciting stuff coming up next.
Do you have a great product you want to get in front of auto dealers across the country, and specifically their fixed ops departments? You know, their service, parts, and body shop. For over 15 years, Fixed Ops Magazine has been putting service-related products like yours in front of franchise auto dealers across the country. There simply is no better way to reach every dealer in the USA all at once. Hi, I'm Ron, the publisher of Fixed Ops Magazine, which is both a digital at fixedopsmag.com and print magazine. that reaches out to over 38,000 subscribers who influence what products are purchased in the over 16,000 dealers across the country. Fixed Ops Magazine may even publish your article about a topic you are an expert and have a real passion for in this industry. Every article has the author's contact info so they can reach you. Write an article, run an ad, and an e-blast. We call that our bundle for success. You won't believe how great a deal it is. So to get started, call, text, or email me and I'll tell you more. We are 100% devoted to the franchise stores so we don't waste your time or money. We are laser focused on your prospects. Fixed Ops Magazine, the #1 way to get your product in front of auto dealers today. www.fixedopsmag.com. Ron at fixedopsmag.com. 714-803-5476. Fixed Ops Magazine, the #1 way to get your product in front of auto dealers today.